Big accident brought the safety car out in the very early stages of the race. As ever in the Blancpain Sprint Series, the battling was relentless. Mateusz Lisowski passing Valdeno Brito to make up a position. After the safety car came in, Harry Procek continued to lead, but then he came in to do his mandatory pit stop, handing over to Jeroen Bleekemolen, which moved Max Goetz into the lead of the race. It was an incredibly slow pit stop though from the Lamborghini guys, and combined with a spin for Bleekemolen, it meant they were out of the running for race victory. But then the rain started to come down. Some cars gambled on wets, some opted to stay out there on slicks, and it was slicks that were the best option because soon the track started to dry and it started to come back towards the slick runners. Jeroen Bleekemolen was now in a class of his own as he made his way through the field. René Rast was looking racy, trying to get the lead of the race away from Max Buch. The HTV Mercedes leading the championship, but René Rast, the German in the WRT Audi, was pushing hard and managed to go around the outside of Buch at the chicane. An incredible manoeuvre, and it was Rast who moved the number 2 Audi into the lead of the race. It was then Dominik Baumann in the 76 Schubert BMW who was pushing Buch hard when Buch ran wide at the Masters Bosch and lost the back end of his SLS. The BMW managed to avoid him and slotted through into second position. It wasn't just up the front where the action was relentless. Throughout the field there were battles going on left, right and centre. Here Valdeno Brito looking to the inside and managing to make a move on Mateusz Lisowski in the Silver Cup WRT Audi. Despite pressure from the BMW, René Rast held on to take victory for he and Enzo Ede, moving them up to third in the championship, but it's still Max Buch and Max Goetz at the top of the standings. There were highs and lows for WRT in Zandvoort. Laurens Vanthoor and Cesar Ramos gambled on going on a wet tyre. It didn't work out for them, and as a result, they lost a little bit of ground in the championship hunt. Meanwhile, their teammates in the number 2 car, Enzo Ede and René Rast, took victory by staying out there on the slick tyres, and as a result are now up to third in the standings. But repeating that this weekend is going to be tough.
Yes, for sure. We had good luck in Zandvoort. We had a good strategy with the rain, and so we finished P1 in the main race, so we will try to do the same here. It will be very hard, I think, but anyway, we will do our best.
Grasser Racing won the qualifying race in Zandvoort, but problems in the pit stop and then a spin for Jeroen Bleekemolen meant that in the main race they really struggled and didn't get as many points as they would have liked to continue with their championship challenge. Jeroen Bleekemolen has never raced here before, so it's going to be a learning curve for him this weekend, but his teammate Harry Procek is confident that as ever the Grasser Racing team and he and his teammate can get the job done.
We do try our best for the weekend for sure. We push for maybe first place after that, but first of all look that we have a good qualifying, good second free practice, and then we will see. All circuits what we have in a special way tricky, but this one is I think the fastest one what we have, and that makes it always very interesting. If you have a fast track, it's always much more difficult than when you have a small Mickey Mouse circuit.
We're back to having 2 Royale BMW Z4s this weekend. As ever, David Fuminelli and Stefano Colombo will be in the Silver Cup, but this weekend we see the return of Alex Zanardi. He missed the previous round in Zandvoort because he was doing a hand bike race, but at the Slovakia ring, a circuit that should suit the BMW Z4, Zanardi is excited to get back in the car.
I look very much forward to get back in the car this weekend because it's a circuit that I love, but more than that is a machine that I've been missing a lot. It's now some time that I haven't driven, so yeah, I'm very excited to be here. The Slovakia ring is an incredible course, very fast. Some of the turns are quite different, so technically speaking it's quite difficult to find the right setup, because if you work mechanically to get the car biting the ground in the slow stuff, then you have the car quite unbalanced in the fast corners. So setup is the key word, and hopefully the BMW car will be a very good one to have in the race.
Fabio Anidi and Giorgio Pantano's Bitec McLaren was eliminated before they even got to the first corner in Zandvoort. A really disappointing weekend for them. They'll be hoping to bounce back. There's a change in the second 61 Bitec McLaren as well. Daniel Lloyd replaced by 2008 International Formula Masters champion Chris van der Drift. And whilst the New Zealander has experience with the car, it's a new circuit for him this weekend.
I've driven the McLaren now plenty of times. It's the first time here for me at Slovakia ring. There's probably more than that, just getting a few laps in and seeing where the corners go really. Obviously now we're still a bit off the pace just to improve a bit more. continue just developing the car a bit more and then get further up the field. I mean, I think we should be definitely aiming for sort of a midway, 10, 12th to start with, and then definitely get some points. I mean, that's definitely what we have to be aiming for this weekend.
The Schubert BMW squad made their debut in Zandvoort and finished second in the main race. And Thomas Jaeger and his teammate Dominic Baumann are hoping they can produce a similar performance this weekend at the Slovakia ring.
It's my first time here. It's a quite difficult circuit with a lot of which requires a lot of technique, and there are quite a few fast corners, and I think our BMW should suit well the track. The only problem is maybe the main straight. It's 900 meters long and we are not the best in top speed, but in the corners we should be very good.
Steph Dusseldorp was disappointed with the way his home race went at Zandvoort. He and Sergei Afanasiev no doubt hoping for better this weekend. In the sister championship leading car, Max Bug isn't here at Slovakia ring this weekend. He will be replaced by Nico Verdonk, who will join Max Goetz at the wheel of the 84 Mercedes.
I think Audi will be strong like Spa, Lamborghini as well. Blancpain is second, so I think Blancpain will push like hell. I think these two guys, Audi, Rast, Vantor and Blancpain will be very strong.
The Czech and the Slovakian combine once again at Reiter Engineering Lamborghini, with Thomas Enger joining Stefan Rosina in the number 88 car. The duo haven't quite lived up to their undoubted pace yet so far this season, but the Slovakia ring seems to suit the Lamborghini car, so they'll be hoping they can perform stronger this weekend. And it is, of course, the home race for local man Stefan Rosina.
For us, I think it's going to be quite tricky because now I wouldn't say it's my home circuit, even though I come from Slovakia, because lots of drivers that are now driving in Blancpain drove here already. So I think it's going to be a tough race. This is what I'm expecting, and I hope for a podium finish. But so far it looks that it's going to be really a challenging goal.
Good afternoon, everybody, and it is time for the qualifying race here in Slovakia, the fourth round of the 2014 Blancpain Sprint Series season. My name is Jack Nichols. Alongside me here in the commentary box is John Watson. And John, usually when we come to Slovakia, it's beautiful blue skies, baking hot. The temperature's there, but there's a little bit of a twist in the air.
Well, 22 Celsius, 26 track temperature, but my trusty weatherman, Vincent Voss, the boss of WRT, has seen rain is coming towards the circuit area, and in fact when it starts to rain he anticipates it's going to rain for the remaining part of the day.
Here's a look at the grid. Laurens Vanthoor and Harry Procek on the front row. Then it's Marcus Winkelhock and René Rast on row 2. 3 Audis in the top 4. Then the first Mercedes, Max Goetz alongside David Fuminelli in the BMW. Thomas Enger will start in the Reiter Engineering Lamborghini. Alex Zanardi then 9th on the grid, just in front of Lukas Stoltz, the third HDP Motorsport car, a new entry for this weekend. Mateusz Lisowski will be in 12th place, the first of the Silver Cup cars. Andrea Montemini there in 13th place on the return for him. He missed the previous round in Zandvoort. There is Stefan Otelli, 15th on the grid. Valdeno Brito will start 17th ahead of Sten Pentus in 18th place. He's joined this weekend by Chris van der Drift. And then at the back of the grid, we will have René Munich and alongside him, Sergio Jimenez, but we've already seen that car will be starting at the pit lane. The safety car pulls into the pits and we're about to go racing in the qualifying race here at Slovakia. This is on board with Harry Procek. He is second on the grid, on pole in the black WRT. Number 1 Audi is Laurens Vanthoor. The second row is René Rast and Marcus Winkelhock as we go green here in Slovakia. 20 metres wide this start-finish straight, and you can tell because the cars fan out, and it's Harry Procek who has taken the lead. Sorry, Jeroen Bleekemolen who has taken the lead in that Lamborghini. The other Lamborghini of Thomas Enger was pushed onto the inside line, and there's a bit of contact maybe in the middle of the pack. Everyone just about squeezes through. We go on board with Alex Zanardi, but it's Jeroen Bleekemolen who's off, and that's a spin. Oh, and that's a big accident for the number 88 machine, which is the Reiter Engineering car of Stefan Rosina. And so he started that, and it was he who was pushed to the inside line on the way down towards turn 1. And he has had a big accident on the exit. It looked as though he came together with the Steph Dusseldorp 85 HTP Motorsport Mercedes, and the safety car unsurprisingly deployed here at Slovakia ring. Here's a look at the replay, John, and Enger initially gets squeezed onto the grass.
Well, he comes on the right-hand side of the racetrack trying to make space Lawrence Van Voort pushes him wide, but Enger keeps his foot in it again. Coming out, the Lamborghini of Blancpain sweeps into the corner. Suddenly Enger's got to get out of it, and he's been pinched on the inside. He got pinched on the way down. So now you've got cars two abreast.
Now look, there's
battling.
the contact.
So that's suddenly, that's what began the whole process. In fact, it happened before they even got anywhere near turn 2. That was still on the exit of turn 1 on the climb up over.
Wow.
It's on cartwheels 3 times in the air. Massive impact for the Lamborghini. Thomas Enger wonders whether he's taken a private pilot's license. There again, you can see the damage to the barrier, the big hit. Then the car flies through the air. But the key is the car itself, the integrity of the cockpit is absolutely intact. And then comes to rest the rear of the car, straddling the barrier, steam from the radiators in the front. And that is as dramatic as it can get. Wipers are now being operated by most of the cars, so the rain that we had predicted falling about 3 o'clock. So we have to wait and see just whether this is going to continue or whether it's just a momentary sharp
red
fall.
flag.
Well, there we are. I'm not surprised a red flag has come up. I think that's the sensible decision in the circumstances. Everything has just now been compounded, but opportunistically a pit stop from somebody at the point of the red flag coming out.
So there'll be 54 minutes and 2 seconds remaining when we get going again. There's the Reiter Engineering Lamborghini. The safety car pulls in after the red flag period here, after Thomas Eng's big crash, but already Jeroen Bleekemolen has stamped on the gas pedal and he is on his way, leading in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini as we start racing again in Slovakia. In second place it's Marcus Winkelhock in the Phoenix Audi. René Rast is right up behind him in the WRT Audi, but look at the visibility. Very difficult on the way down towards the first corner. Winkelhock is having to defend because Rast is looking to the outside. Nothing he can do about the German in front of him just yet, but he might try and get the cutback coming up into turn 2. Has he got enough of an overlap on the inside of the Phoenix machine? Doesn't look like he quite has as they come towards the right-hander. It's going to be very close, but Rast holds it on the inside line and takes second position, but Winkelhock's still going around the outside on the exit of 2. Down towards the hairpin now of 3. Great racing between 2 very experienced drivers. Surely now in the heavy braking zone, Rast will be able to get the job done. Still Winkelhock's holding on, but there he goes, through he goes. Very wide in the background, there goes Alex Zanardi, but René Rast is up into second place. That's brilliant for Jeroen Bleekemolen because he's managed to pull away from them. His gap's over a second now.
As you see, Lawrence Van Voort, he's fighting his way past, or trying to get past Giorgio Pantano in the McLaren, which had such a great opportunity to stick, and he's got the inside.
Okay, so that's 4th position for Lawrence Van Voort. He managed to get past Pantano. Pantano then down to 5th. 6th place, I think, now is Max Goetz. He's managed to get past Alex Zanardi in all that. And there's a look up the inside from Dominic Baumann as he tries to challenge, I think it might be an Aman Ibrahim who's got past him, and there's a spin for Zanardi. I think that may have been Baumann trying to get past Zanardi, actually. And as he comes back onto the track, he almost and possibly does collect Lucas Stoltz as Zanardi tries to get the car going again. But I think he got hit there by Dominic Baumann coming down into the hairpin of turn 10. The gap for the leaders come down to just 0.6 of a second. René Rast was the quickest man of anyone in the 2nd and 3rd sectors once he'd got past Marcus Winkelhock. There is the move from Max Goetz. He goes past Giorgio Pantano, so the Bitec McLaren starting to slip back as we feared it might. Jeroen Bleekemolen, it is leading the way. What's his advantage? It's only a couple of tenths of a second really over René Rast, but it looks as though Rast has been quicker so far in sector 2. And there's a look from Baumann. He goes past Giorgio Pantano now. So that is going to be 6th place, I think, for Dominic Baumann. This is Valdino Brito under attack from Aman Ibrahim looking to the inside, and around the outside of them is coming the car of Mateusz Lasowski, the Silver Cup WRT machine. But
where's he gone?
Where's he gone?
He's
there he
gravel.
is. He's in the gravel.
I realised he wasn't there, and more big turfs kicked up onto the racetrack.
Out now, onto the back straight. Almost nothing between them. Maybe a car length, maybe half a car length now. Bleekemolen will surely have to defend as he comes down into the penultimate corner. Rast is going to look towards the inside, but he's still not quite close enough. Bleekemolen goes a little bit wide, and Rast sees the inside line and forces his way past. René Rast takes the lead of the qualifying race here in Slovakia, sees the gap, gets it done. Oh, and off that step Dusseldorp. Yes. A difficult weekend for him and a difficult race for him, but just gets worse and worse. Side-by-side action here as Giorgio Pantano loses out of position to David Fuminelli in the 34 Silver Cup Roa BMW.
Now, can Van Thor think about looking down the inside of Winkelhock? He goes defensive because Van Thor did it. He's going to go the long way around, but it's wet on the outside.
Couldn't get that stopped, could he, Laurens Van Thor? I thought he was heading to the gravel trap for a moment, but he just managed to get the car stopped in time as he attacks Marcus Winkelhock in front of him. The Phoenix Audi of Winkelhock. We're on board with the WRT car of Laurens Van Thor in 4th position at the moment. He'll be handing over to his teammate Cesar Ramos when the pit stop window opens. Oh, and there's Stefan Ortelli off again, and that is turn 8 that Ortelli has gone off at, and unfortunately that is probably the end of his race now.
I mean, I'm going to give Stefan Ortelli a bucket and spade. He's enjoyed the gravel all day here today, Slovakia ring, and I mean, that's again an incident, driver incident, no doubt.
Look at the rain.
It is heavy. I mean, it is absolutely lashing down. And again, you can see it's just a blackout.
And
it's all up the inside, Winkelhock.
Winkelhock goes through. Does he pass Bleekemolen, or is there more grip out there on the outside? This is incredibly close. And Winkelhock goes through. Into 2nd place, we go on board with Van Thor. He can hardly keep the car in a straight line as he swoops through to take 3rd position away. This is torrential.
Well, I think we may well see the safety car being deployed. There's a yellow flag being shown. I don't know, that's because of there it is.
Baumann. Bauman's gone off. And that is a real shame for the young Austrian. That is just after turn 1. So he must have, I reckon he's pirouetted, lost the engine, and it's getting restarted, and off goes the Ferrari of Felipe Salaquada.
That's the reason why I think we're going to see a safety car deployment.
And Pantano as well.
Because the racetrack is saturated.
Yep.
Even these wet weather Pirelli tyres are struggling to try and give the drivers any level of grip whatsoever. Now these little bursts of rain come through and they just dump massive amount of water. Then it goes again up the inside. Maximilian Gertz gets past Jerome Bleekemolen. You can see the Lamborghini struggling just to get any level of traction, grip at all.
The safety car has been deployed.
I wonder why did we have to wait so long? It was clear a lap ago.
Rast, look, there's René Rast in the number 2 Audi. What has happened to Rast? He's dropped well back down the field. So does that mean Marcus Winkelhock is now leading the race? Laurens Van Thor will now be in 2nd place. And the cars will now pick up the safety car. Will we see them diving into the pit lane this time around? Some of the guys may choose to, but some of them may decide to stay out. And it looks as though the 76 car can't get going again. In comes Van Thor. He's one of them to come in. And so why wouldn't Winkelhock come into the lead?
I think that's Van Thor and Rast coming in together.
They're all coming in. Why wouldn't Winkelhock come in? He's going to now queue up behind the safety car.
I don't know. I mean, there's no obvious reason.
So in we come into the pits, and so far, I think Winkelhock is the only man who hasn't come into the pits. Maybe David Fuminelli is still out there as well. This is some really proper rain coming down here at the Slovakia ring as the cars head out back onto the circuit. And the red flag has been thrown for the 2nd time in the race.
There is the grid behind the safety car. And it's Marcus Winkelhock's car that should be at the lead of these cars, but because Marcus Winkelhock...
Well, we've just had a message actually on race control. Cars which have not done their... Cars that have not done their stop must do it the first lap after the restart. And so it seems that they're saying, fair enough, if you haven't done it, that's okay, because the safety cars come out, we accept that. You can do it the first lap after the restart and they won't be penalised, but they will be penalised because they'll be right to the back of the queue. So after our 2nd red flag period, the safety car pulls into the pits and we will go 3rd time lucky here in Slovakia as out across the line comes Enzo Ede leading the race. Into the pits comes Marcus Winkelhock to serve his driver change, but he's got Harry Procek right up behind him, Enzo Ede. It's Procek in the white and black Grasser Racing Lamborghini looking around all over the place to try and get past. Nothing he can do. 3rd place then is Cesar Ramos. 4th is Nico Verdonk. 5th is Matthias Stumpf, who's taken over from Valdeno Brito in that BMW Team Brazil car. Running wide there was Cesar Ramos, but it's still Enzo Ede in the lead of the race for the time being as the cars crest the hill. You can see the order down the bottom there as they come into turn 2. The spray is pretty bad, but Enzo Ede has done a good job to hold on to the lead of the race for the time being. As we continue on board with Harry Procek chasing down Enzo Ede in front through the left-hand kink now at turn 4. Then the double right-handers of 5 and 6.
René Rast, come on René. Oh, he's gone wide. Enzo was at the... that was Cesar Ramos.
Yeah, Cesar Ramos.
And the Mercedes Van Donk has got alongside, but Ramos is on the inside. He's just about consolidated. Van Donk dives on the inside into turn 8. Forces the issue alongside up now to turn 9. The Mercedes should have the advantage.
Here they come towards the left-hander. The Mercedes is on the inside line and Nico Verdonk goes through. Ramos though tries to hold it all the way around the outside in these wet conditions and he's done it. but it's Enzo Ede who is leading the race overall in the Pro Cup, and they're up to third in the championship now, so a good, a strong race here as well, and they could really bring themselves into title contention going into the remaining 3 rounds of the season.
I think Enzo Ede is benefiting from co-driving with René Rast. I think he's moved on to another level of ability and performance. Nico Verdonk again trying to find a way past Cesar Ramos, down into turn 13, but hasn't got the track position to make it even an attempt. So again, it's just where do you place your car? The Mercedes runs much wider, trying to straighten out coming through the final part of turn 13 to get power on earlier, to get the drive. But Ramos is strong at that part of the racetrack, and he's able to open up the gap as he comes onto pit straight.
Well, there's the view from Vanthorpe as he now comes right up to the back of Harry Procek, Ramos I should say, as he comes up to the back of Harry Procek down into the first corner. Is this going to be a chance for a cutback for the Brazilian? Quite possibly. Gets a really good drive out of turn 1, runs wide, uses all that curb, but that loses them some momentum actually, doesn't it?
Well, it's slippery out there. You get wheel spin, one wheel will suddenly spin, then your traction control cuts in. That also loses your momentum. It stops you getting into bigger trouble, but that's the danger of traction control. But look how much quicker he is through turn 2. This is an opportunity for Ramos to maybe catch Harry Procek slightly unawares into turn 3.
Down towards turn 3, to the inside goes Cesar Ramos, not quite close enough, but it's getting very close, and Verdonk is right up behind as well. The next corner's a left-hander, so this sort of overlap won't do Ramos any good unless he can hold it for the next right-hander of turn 5. Looks to the inside line. Good move from Cesar Ramos. He gets past and up into second place. Great stuff from the Brazilian.
Yeah, that was gutsy. He went the long way round, took the chance. Harry Procek gave him enough working room, but the Audi was carrying the sufficient speed to get the job done. And Nico Verdonk thought, well, I'm going to have a bit of this action as well, but the door got firmly closed by Procek, so he defends his 3rd place.
But here are the 2 Audis, nose to tail. But it's the number 2 Audi that at the moment has the advantage in the championship. So I don't think we're going to get any sort of move over messages.
No, I'm assuming now that Audi have got this position 1-2, they may well be indicating to their 2 drivers that, yeah, race each other, but don't take each other off. Remember that there's people behind us who take points away from us if 1 or 2 of these cars ends up in a gravel trap or worse. So it is still a race. I mean, the Brazilian is going to have a look down the inside on the young Belgian driver. He feels he's got a victory, potential, certainly pace. With Laurens van Thor and Sergio Ramos, car number 1. That was the car that set the pole position. So they might feel that this is their race, and all it takes is a little mistake from the lead Audi, and that'll be Cesar Ramos all over. And they've almost the commitment that Ramos had when he went around the outside of Harry Procek in the Lamborghini a couple of laps ago indicates he's not here just for a run.
Oh, and that's a shame for Lucas Wolf. He has gone off the circuit.
Turn 1.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's on the. He's gone right through on the exit of turn 1. He was running in 15th place. Harry Procek has just gone 4/10 of a second quicker than the 2 Audis in front of him in the first sector. What's the middle sector looking like? No, he's about 6/10 of a second slower, so it's sort of balanced out. But Procek all of a sudden looking quite quick. Also
Abril.
looking quite quick is Vincent Abril. Yeah, looking to try and get past Caca Bueno as they come down towards the right-hander. Looks to the inside line and he's got past.
Yes,
Yep.
good pass by Vincent Abril. And there you can see in the WRT garage, they appreciate that manoeuvre, but Caca Bueno is slightly better positioned in the corner to try and make the cutback, but Abril has got the advantage. The Audi seems to have very good traction, in particular out of turn 13, as we see this battle again. Enzo Ede not being defensive, but just putting his car where he knows the Brazilian wants to put his car.
And now we have got, and that's the move for the lead of the Silver Cup. Vincent Abril going around the outside of Stefano Colombo at turn 1. What an impressive manoeuvre from the Frenchman. I didn't really see that coming.
Well, two cars and 2 corners, basically.
On board we go with Cesar Ramos in that second spot. Through the long right-hander, a little left kink now.
It's always the back end of the car.
He's gone.
He spun it. What have you done, Enzo?
He spun the car from the lead of the race, and Vincent Voss can't believe it. He's got to wait now to get back onto the circuit. That's Marc Bassin going past, so that'll be down in 10th position for Enzo Ede. Frustration in the WRT garage, and frustration, no doubt, for Enzo himself, because he was staring at a front row start for tomorrow's main race.
I don't really understand. I think other than he was in turn 8, he was probably a bit more to the middle of the racetrack than he needed to be. And once the back end of the Audi started to swing out, the pendulum effect took over, and Cesar Ramos saw it all, just checked his car, and got clear of the spinning Enzo Weed. You could see the response from the Audi WRT team at that, what looks like a harmless spin, in that it's anything but harmless because it damages the potential of Enzo Weed and René Rast in the principal race tomorrow afternoon. They're going to be really handicapped now, falling back. Wait to see where Enzo Weed comes across start-finish line. It is in 8th place.
No, it'll be further than that because Bassin got past him as well.
Zanardi even possibly. No, maybe not Zanardi.
No, it's 9th place then for Enzo Weed, but here's the look from Vincent Abril. He's absolutely on it, and he's now gone past Matthias Stumpf and is up into 4th position. Stumpf's fighting back though on the exit, on the run down now towards turn 2. The BMW has the inside line. Abril will try and squeeze him towards the inside. He may be able to try and hang on all the way around the outside here at turn 2, but he's not quite able to. Stumpf gets back past, but what a great scrap this is, and more concern in the it's the highs and lows really for WRT at the moment. So here's a look at Enzo Weed then, and the back, he just seems to start to lose the back end, and instead of, you know, straightening it up, tries to save it, and it backfires on him.
Yeah, but he's on the wrong part of the racetrack. He's too far over to the right as he entered into turn 8, and once he got out there, he had to get out of the throttle, and of course without drive to stabilise the back of the car, that's where the pendulum effect plays.
On board again with Procik. Now let's watch him. How much does he check out his mirrors? A little look there, through the left-hand kink onto the start-finish straight. There's the look as they come down towards turn 1. Just 0.8 of a second between these 3 cars, and Vincent Abril is maybe the man most likely to make a move. Currently in 4th position in the number 4 WRT Audi R8. The V10 engine, oh look at the traction on the exit of the corner, and he almost loses it as he bounces onto the grass. But Abril keeps it all together. 4th place still for him, but that little bit of distraction may be the key and may allow Harry Procik to hold on to this 2nd place. Under braking for turn 10. They're all going very, very deep in, and Abril's off and in the gravel trap. What a shame for the Frenchman. A superb drive, and that also means they're going to lose the lead of the Silver Cup, and now he's going bumper to bumper with Cacabueno. But what a shame for Vincent Abril. He's been stunning in this 2nd stint. He took the lead of the Silver Cup away from Stefano Colombo, but now he's put it in the gravel trap on the final lap. And through the final corner now comes Cesar Ramos. He and Laurens Vanthoor are going to win their 2nd qualifying race of the season so far. It's victory for WRT after an incredible qualifying race here at the Slovakia ring. He will be on pole position tomorrow. Harry Procik will start alongside him on the front row of the grid. 3rd for Nico Verdonk in the Mercedes, 4th for Matthias Stumpf, 5th and winning the Silver Cup will be Stefano Colombo, with Vincent Abril finishing in 6th place, just ahead of Cacabueno. Here's the results eventually after the qualifying race here in Slovakia. It's the win for Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthoor, finishing 3.6 seconds clear in the end of the 2nd place car, Harry Procik and Jeroen Bleekemolen. That takes the championship lead down just a tiny bit to Maximilian Goetz, who finished in 3rd place with his teammate for this weekend, Nico Verdonk. 4th place for Matthias Stumpf and Valdino Brito. 5th and winning Silver Cup, Stefano Colombo and Fuminelli. Vincent Abril, great drive, but it wasn't quite to be. He finishes down in 6th place ahead of Cacabueno and Sergio Jimenez. And what could have been for Enzo E, leading the race until he spun with a couple of laps to go. Also, what could have been for the number 6 Phoenix Racing Audi. Marcus Winkelhock was in the lead of the race, but didn't come in when the pit stop window opened for some reason, whether it's him, whether it's the team, whatever happens, it means they finish down in 14th position. And then a number of retirements, and we had 22 cars start the race, and 16 cars made it to the end, so a reasonably high rate of attrition. So there are the winning trophies being handed to Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthoor. A 2nd qualifying race victory for Ramos and Vanthoor, but as they said to you down on the grid, John, they will be desperate to get their hands on a main race victory. It's time for the main race here in the Slovakia ring, and as you can see, much more pleasant weather. My name is Jack Nichols. Alongside me in the commentary box is John Watson. Yesterday's race was a torrential downpour, horrific conditions at times. Some of the drivers saying it was the worst they'd ever experienced. But today we've got an air temperature of 20.4 degrees, a track temperature of 22.8 degrees as well. So not too hot, but thoroughly pleasant here in Slovakia at the Slovakia Ring, which is an excellent new facility. Built in 2008, this circuit first hosted the FIA GT3 European Championship in 2011. It also hosts the World Touring Cars and, of course, the Blancpain Sprint Series. It's got 14 corners, 7 right, 7 left, lots of undulation, and it's really an entertaining circuit to race on, and there are plenty of overtaking opportunities as well. So looking forward to getting stuck into this circuit today. As you can see, 5.922 kilometres, one of the longest circuits that we visit in the FIA GT Series, lap times of almost a minute. Yesterday's race was won by Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthoor, and as a result of their victory yesterday, Ramos and Vanthoor are now 4th in the championship standings, level on points with Enzo Ida and René Rast, but it's still Max Goetz who is at the top of the championship, 6 points clear of Jeroen Bleekemolen and Harry Procik. Max Buch, Goetz's usual teammate, not racing with him this weekend. You can see Stefan Otelli there in 8th place. He had a few trips to the gravel yesterday. And Sergei Afanasyev and Steph Dusseldorp down in 13th place in their HDP Mercedes, and they're starting at the back of the grid today after having to retire yesterday. We're in for a very entertaining race at the Slovakia ring, there's no doubt about it. Hopefully a more serene race than yesterday. We had 2 red flag periods that brought an awful lot of stoppages to the race. And we can now hear from Gottfried Grasser, the team manager of the Grasser Racing team. He was with John Watson.
Conditions is much more better for us here. In rain it was really hard yesterday, so we are happy that it's dry.
So what are you expecting? Because we've got Ari starting. We saw what happened yesterday at the start in dry conditions. I mean, have you spoken to your 2 drivers and advised them to try and get through turn 1?
Yes, sure. You know, they know what to do. You know, they do always their best. And I think yesterday the starting performance is also good from the car. And when we get it on the right point, it should be no problem. You know, for us it's important for the championship to take the most points. That's it.
Now you've got a quick car in a straight line. We've got a wind blowing you down the straight. Is that going to hinder you into turn 1, or just really the same for everybody?
No, I talked already to Harry now, because I think it's much more difficult in the really quick corners, because there are 2 free corners here with a lot of speed, and when you have around 30 kilometers of wind, it can be a little bit tricky, but they should do it normally.
Enjoy it, Gottfried. Many thanks.
Thank you very much.
Good to hear from Gottfried Grasser there down on the grid with John Watson, and his car driven by Harry Procik and Jeroen Bleekemolen will be starting 2nd on the grid, and it will be Harry starting the race. And yesterday we saw that car take the lead. A bit of drama. I can just see out of the commentary box window that one of the Royal BMWs is being pushed back off the grid. So we'll try and keep an eye out and find out exactly what's happened there. It's just to the left of shot here. You'll see some guys and girls pushing the BMW away from the start-finish straight. There it is. So I'm not quite sure. Well, it's the one that would have slotted in there, I imagine, behind the HTP Mercedes. We'll try and figure that out, but we can hear from Antonio Herman now, who is the man in charge of the BMW Sports Team Brazil squad.
Antonio Herman, team boss here of Team Brazil. Almost Brazil-like weather on the 2nd grid position, road grid position.
Yes, this weather is much better than yesterday, and we hope that we will make a very nice race on the 2nd row, and let's see what happened today.
Now yesterday we had Sao Paulo-like rain. Today we've got wind. Is that going to help or hinder?
Yes, sure. Today is much better to have a yacht, to enjoy the wind. And yesterday was a rainforest. It was terrible weather, but today everything is going to be better and going well.
And everything okay with Car Zero? You had a fresh engine fitted yesterday?
Yes, we changed the engine yesterday. The engine is much better. We checked the arm up today morning when the engine is much better than the other one, and we hope also with the Car Zero have a good position there.
Have a good one, Benny. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here are the cars pulling off the grid then, as we heard from Antonio Herman. It was the number 34 BMW of David Fuminelli that was being pushed back off the grid. He was due to start on the 3rd row in 5th position, so a real shame there for Fuminelli. And he won the Silver Cup yesterday, and he'll have his work cut out doing that today, if they can in fact get the car started. we'll have to wait and see. We'll only have 21 cars taking, we'll have 20 cars taking the start. 19 cars actually, because we lost the Reiter engineering car and the Scuderia Valour Corsa car yesterday, unfortunately, in accidents. And we've just seen the 34 BMW being pushed away down the grid. So it's still going to be a very action-packed turn 1. Here's a look at the grid ahead of the main race here in Slovakia then. Cesar Ramos will start on pole position, alongside him Harry Procik on the front row. Nico Verdonk will start third alongside Matej Stumpf. That in 5th position, Stefano Colombo's car, he will not start, he's just been pushed back to the pit lane. Kaka Bueno will start in 7th ahead of Marc Basseng in 8th position. Enzo Eid was leading the race yesterday until a last minute spin saw him drop down to 9th place. Miguel Toril in 11th ahead of Fabian Hamprecht, making his Blancpain GT Sprint Series this weekend. Chris van der Drift and René Munich will be on the 7th row of the grid ahead of Nicky Meyer-Melnoff in the car that was leading at a time yesterday. Luca Wolf unfortunately ended his race. He'll be starting just by Fabio Anidi. Thomas Jaeger in the 76 BMW, and then Sergei Afanasyev completing the cars we will have out there. So 19 cars taking to the start. Hopefully that Fuminelli Stefano Colombo car can make their way to the starting grid. But if not, they'll be heading out from the pit lane. Not quite sure what the problem was, because it managed to drive past us down here. So that is the car that will be at the back of the field. Steph Dusseldorp and Sergei Afanasyev. Afanasyev will be starting that car, and Steph Dusseldorp got involved in a couple of incidents yesterday, including the Thomas Enger crash, and also the he got in an incident with Sten Pentus and was punted off by the Estonian at the final corner. But the cars making their way around now. John Watson has rejoined me in the commentary box, and it's all looking dry out there. John, Harry Procik versus Cesar Ramos off the front row.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lovely grid. It's warm in the sun, but there is a strong wind blowing directly down the straight, following these cars into turn 1, and that's sort of trying to get a little feel for both the Brazil BMW and also the Grasser Lamborghini, because wind does have a bearing on how cars respond, particularly that first right-hand turn. It's quite a quick corner, and the problem is when you make the turn initially, the front will not get the bite you're accustomed to. So apart from all the issues we saw yesterday, when the race actually started in conditions that were, in terms of wind, much easier than they are today, it's important for everybody to remember to be cautious, to be observant. You know, it's not rocket science doing this. You just got to keep your wits about you.
It's a very wide start straight here. As I said, 20 meters wide, so sort of almost as long as a swimming pool wide. So really a lot of space for the cars to get out, and then they all have to funnel down together into the first corner. But there's Cesar Ramos. That's the car on pole position. He'll have the inside line going down to the first corner, but there's about 8 lines into turn 1 at the start of the race. So it is very easy to make up positions. Yesterday, Giorgio Pantano went from 20th on the grid to 4th by turn 2. Phenomenal performance from him. We go on board with Alex Zanardi, getting ready for the start of this 1-hour race with a 10-minute pit stop window in the middle as we come towards the final corner now. Cesar Ramos in the number 1 WRT Audi is on pole position, but right alongside him is Harry Procik. The second row of the grid is Nico Verdonk and Matej Stumpf as we wait for the lights to go out here in Slovakia, and we're racing. Who's got the best getaway? It's a good start from Procik by the looks of things. Ramos is going nowhere. He's falling back through the order. It's also a good start from Matej Stumpf as they come down towards turn 1. Ramos is super late on the brakes, and as a result there's contact. Off goes René Rast. Off goes Cesar Ramos. Off goes Fabian Hamprecht. Off, I think, goes the second of the Grasser Racing Lamborghinis, but they all came together in turn 1. It's not rocket science, John.
No, I know. I'm sitting here watching it and thinking, I mean, surely amongst these drivers,
no, it's the first one. It's Harry Procik. It's the 28 car. Harry Procik has gone off at the first corner,
and he was tagged going into turn 1. But there were cars coming through the pack, still on full throttle, while others were off the throttle, rolling into turn 1. And the consequent 3 cars we can see there in the gravel on the outside of turn 1.
So, big news as far as the championship is concerned then. Harry Procik out of the race at the first corner, all because it all just got a bit close in there. It looked to me as though it was Ramos going in too late on the brakes, but we'll have to wait and see. That means Nico Verdonk in the championship leading car is in the lead of the race. Surely we'll have to have a safety car for this, by the way, meanwhile. But it's the 0 car of Kaka Bueno who is up in second place. Somehow the Fortec car of Miguel Toril is in 3rd position. Absolutely astonishing. There, unfortunately, out is Stumpf, the teammate of that man there, Sergio Jimenez.
Yeah, I mean a messy start, but there BMW BMW, second row of the grid, taking full advantage of it. A fresh engine, contact with the left rear of the Mercedes, but not sufficient to destabilise the car. But that is an aggressive opening lap as we watch the cars now filter through the back end of the circuit, through turns 11 and down into the long turn 13.
There was Antonio Herman we saw on the pit wall as you spoke to him earlier, John, and he was saying that it was Brazil-like weather conditions, a little bit more so today, and now feel at home in second place because they've only had one podium finish in their Blancpain Sprint Series careers. Oh, and off is Nicky Meyer-Melnoff, and that's at turn 9.
Turn 9, that's a big impact, and that's you see the safety car already on the track, deployed, and that is a
I don't know, we haven't got the safety car,
but there was a car, a road-going Honda Civic, so that car was driving either over the bridge against the flow of traffic, I don't know where, but we just got a glimpse of that car.
Into the pits comes Alex Zanardi, he's picked up a puncture, we're on board with him now. What an action-packed start to the race, and it's the rear left that has gone for Zanardi, so a real shame for the Italian who was making his comeback really this weekend after missing out. It looks as though that second row BMW hasn't gone back out onto the circuit either, so Stefano Colombo and David Fuminelli still out there. We're not under safety car conditions. The car that was out there is a little Honda Civic that is now, I can see out the window, making its way back around the track.
What was a Honda Civic doing in the racetrack?
That was just the course car that follows them around during the first lap. So it's all, but we've still, whatever happens, we've got Nico Verdonk leading the way, Caca Bueno there in the zero car, multiple Brazilian stock car champion, desperate to get past. These stock cars in Brazil are not like stock cars in the UK, they're proper V8 machines.
They're proper racing cars, but they're a very close competition, and we're seeing close competition here between the Mercedes and the BMW. Nico Verdonk getting no chance to just simply get over that first lap excitement. He's got pressure from Caca Bueno at pretty much every corner of the two cars as you go through turn 8 up the hill. Now where is the car that we saw of Nicky Meyer-Melnoff? Well, there it is. It was on the exit of turn 8 that he went off and into the barrier. So, and I wonder, was that an assist? Because there's a bit of damage to the front of Alex Zanardi's car. You can see paint damage on the front spoiler.
But the puncture was rear left.
Puncture was rear left, but let's look again at the start. I mean, again, fanning out the full 20 metres plus width of the racetrack. Cars actually on the red and white exit pit mark. I don't have identification. And then the Lamborghini moves in, but it's Verdonk. But it's the two Audis, they get tangled. And Harry Project just he got out of it early just to sort of do the right thing. And he was just utterly swamped by people. 4 cars, including the BMW, the Brazil, the number of the zero car, which gets involved.
So this is the zero, it was the 30 car that got involved.
Yeah.
This is on board here, and you'll see Ramos is there on the left, Cesar Ramos. He gets a slow start, and then he seems to me to go in too late on the brakes. I might be wrong here, but Ramos keeps going, look, and throws it in, and as a result, everyone squeezes together.
Yeah, I mean, the two Audis come together. One goes from left to right, tags, and Zoid. That then sets off the process. So Caca Bueno, he gets through cleanly and clearly.
Oh, and
that big impact on turn 8.
He's just gone straight on, hasn't he, there?
Well, we just caught the very tail end of it. It might have been that he got a tank slapper, and then the car's bitten and just gone straight off, I suspect. As we know,
this was the replay.
Yeah, the replay. And the contact, the slight contact. Nico Verdonk and the Mercedes getting a little love tap from his Brazilian mate.
Absolutely.
Or matette.
There is Antonio Herman on the pit wall. Great to have the BMW Team Brazil squad here, and Brazil getting a bigger and bigger presence in the Blancpain GT Sprint Series, and what a way it would be. They had a really good run here in Slovakia last year. I remember, I think it was Ricardo Zonta was running up in 3rd place before he just got shuffled down towards the end of the race. But now, Caca Bueno is right up behind Verdonk. 3rd place is still Miguel Toril, ahead of Luca Wolf in the HDP Mercedes. Thomas Jäger's up in 5th position. 6th place is Cesar Ramos, so he made it through all of that turn 1 shenanigans. 7th place is Marc Basseng. 8th is Vincent Abril. 9th is Chris Vanderdrift, and 10th is Sergei Afanasyev.
I mean, I think this is the best advertisement for track position you can get, because Nico Verdonk, 2nd row of the grid, leading, and Matthias Stump, 2nd row of the grid in 2nd position. They managed to avoid, call it shenanigans or whatever you choose to call it, just lack of brain inside. So looking further back, we've
had a change for 3rd place, because Lucas Wolf is now up and past Miguel Toril, and now here's the move from Marc Basseng going past Thomas Jäger as they come into the final corner. Ramos has lost out to Basseng as well, so the 2012 FIA GT1 World Champion is absolutely on a mission now. Marc Basseng, he's up into 5th position, so good stuff from him. Also behind, it's very close between Cesar Ramos and Vincent Abril. The two WRT teammates might we might see them battling coming down into the first corner. Abril looks to the inside, late on the brakes, and he goes past Cesar Ramos. But there's an awful lot of bodywork hanging off the number 1 Audi, and that we're on board with now, and that might be affecting him a little bit because he was right in the middle of the pinch.
Yeah, it was a real pinch point going into turn 1 again. You know, the penalty of having such a wide start-finish straight is it enables everybody to fan out and go this 7-8 car wide train of cars going in. Then the pinch point is at the point where you're making your apex, and then some drivers rightly backed off early just to make sure they got into the corner cleanly, and as a consequence they got tagged and involved in the incident. And there's the car coming back in.
This is Sasha Halleck in the
left front of that
Grasser Racing Lamborghini. He went off at turn 3 and then has come back on the circuit. He's now making his way into the pits as Vincent Abril, who drove so stunningly in the second half of the race yesterday. He then went onto the gravel on the final lap, unfortunately, but nevertheless it was a strong run from him. This is the battle for the lead, as into the pits for a new front left goes Sasha Halleck. But we're in this interesting situation now, John, where Audi and Lamborghini have been the cars to beat this weekend. They really suit this. And Zanardi's out of the race by the looks of things. A real shame for the Italian getting involved in that first corner incident. But we're in the situation where Lamborghinis and, well, we're going to listen to this. He's battling with Marc Basseng. Basseng gets past as they now run down towards the penultimate corner. And there you can see the cars. Oh, so the contact has already happened. There you can hear him wrestling with it on the throttle.
Yeah, I mean, he's just basically just trying to keep the car on the island, and he does, so he gets back into the pit lane entrance, slows the car down, of course, to make sure he doesn't exceed speed limit. And that was a disappointment for Alex Zanardi as we go back to the battle at the front, and Nico Verdonk consolidating now. The battle is just 0.3 or 0.4 of a second, but look behind.
Marc Basseng desperately trying to get past Miguel Toril to take 4th position away, and on that last lap, it was... Well, they all lap pretty similar at the front, 202.7, the top 3 cars, and Basseng has now got Thomas Jaeger right up behind him there in the 76 Schubert BMW. What an impression they've made, having made their Sprint Series debut in Zandvoort last time out, where they finished in 2nd place. And look at this, Basseng's got to have a chance down into turn 3. Miguel Toril was reasonably slow coming out of turn 2, but if you position your car nicely, there's no way of getting past, really. And Miguel Toril, with all his experience, is doing a good job.
Yeah, he just planted the car right and the entry point for the following Basseng and the Audi, and denied Basseng the opportunity. The long way around was going to make him vulnerable to Thomas Jaeger in the BMW, and this chain followed by Abril and now Toril, and there we see Sergio Jimenez walking back, and well, they're discussing what went on and how did it happen and who was at fault. And well, you know, I was just doing my job, and suddenly I'm being pushed from behind or on the side.
Yeah, that was Fabian Hamprecht that he was walking back with, the young 19-year-old German who's joined Stefan Ortelli in the WRT Audi this weekend. There is Sergei Afanasyev, and when I spoke to him just on the grid before they started, and Steph Dusseldorf said, it'd be tough to get into the top 10 today, but after turn 1 they're now running in 10th place.
And I mean, there's a lot more racing to go. We've got 50 minutes of this race remaining, and it's still not really settled down. It's still a lot of intense battles going on, particularly with the 2 WRT Audis at the tail of this group of cars running out the top sort of 8, 9 as they come down into turn 13. And Cesar Ramos, having lost that position to Vincent Abril, keen to retake it, having now felt more comfortable, having had his car been punch board and countersunk into turn 1.
So here's a replay of how the Fortec car lost 3rd place. It was a look up the inside from Lucas Wolf, and Miguel Toril, to be fair, tried to hold it around the outside, but Wolf kept his nose in there and then had the inside line as they came down towards turn 2. So good racing between the two of them, and great to see Fortec running at the front for the first time really in Blancpain.
Yeah, they've had a good qualifying session. They've had a relatively good race yesterday, but this is more what they feel they should be. They've basically got a look at the damage on the side of the Audi coming through them. Cesar Ramos's car, there was a big contact on the driver's door. But going back to Fortec, they've now got a car set up with which the drivers are more comfortable and confident in, and that's why the performance has improved.
Lucas Wolf is currently the quickest man on the circuit, in 3rd place in the white and blue HTP Mercedes, the new car for this weekend. But then the queue up behind, with Miguel Toril, then Marc Basseng, Thomas Jaeger, and there's Cesar Ramos. And look at that. That's got worse. That's sort of, well, contact has happened, and then as the wind is getting on it, it's pulling bits off.
Yeah, I mean, the door is probably carbon fibre, and it's just being peeled back by wind pressure. And whether that becomes an issue, that they may have to bring the car into the pits and carry out a repair on it. I don't know how they can change the door in the pit stop, but I suppose it's part of what a top team has got the capacity to do. They look at every potential eventuality and build that into their car accordingly.
But look at this battle for the lead of the race. 48 minutes and 12 seconds to go still, and we are on board at the start again. And this is the view from Caca Bueno then, as he went down towards the first corner. And like I say, I'm not trying to apportion blame, but Ramos is very slow, but then he's so deep on the brakes, and it seems to sort of career into everybody else. Look at that, everyone else is braking, and Ramos goes through, has to go for a gap that's not there, comes across, collects the Audi on the right, and then goes back across and collects everyone else on the left.
Yeah, and that was Enzo Eid, and he was a passenger, he was doing nothing wrong, he just got caught by his sister team car, and then the damage on the left front door of Cesar Ramos's car. We've seen that now. He's the tail end of this group of cars coming on to start-finish straight. He pulls up alongside Vincent Abril. He's got the run off him, but he's on the outside of the corner. Abril will no doubt try and maintain his position on the inside, and he's had to give it up. He's conceded it. So good job from Cesar Ramos to get around the outside.
Well, yeah, that is interesting, because those two probably have some sort of team order action going along. Although Vincent Abril at the moment is third in the Silver Cup, because Miguel Toril and Luca Wolf, who are both up in front, are also running in the Silver Cup, as he goes very wide again every time, using that runoff on the exit of turn number 2, Cesar Ramos. But maybe now he knows the damage to the car, and you can sort of get settled into how your damaged car's behaving.
Yeah, I mean, the damage is principally superficial damage. The thing that he was most concerned about was if the steering wheel in a straight ahead position was slightly off, and that's always a concern for a driver, because that indicates there's something damaged within the suspension, usually within a steering arm. So you just would by nature just be cautious for the next lap or so to get the correct feedback and message through the car, through the seat, through the steering wheel, through the pedals, that it is safe to press on.
But our race leader, Nico Verdonk, right behind him, Caca Bueno. Verdonk brought in this weekend to replace Max Buch, who's missing the action here in Slovakia. That car is still the one leading the championship by 6 points, and right up behind him is Caca Bueno, a hugely experienced, as I say, stock car racer, but also races in Brazilian GT championships as well. Sao Paulo State's karting champion back in 1992. There's my useless fact of the day about Caca Bueno.
I'm sure he'd be delighted to be reminded of that. Makes him sort of 20 years ago. I mean, not the youngest driver in the field, but in the meantime, all that experience is playing to the advantage of the team Brazil BMWs. And really, we talk about Brazil and sunshine. In fact, in Sao Paulo recently, that the monsoon-like rain, as we had here yesterday, but given fair conditions and a good grid position, we're really seeing what the Caca Bueno-driven BMW is capable of.
Message from race control is that car 1 is under investigation for the incident at turn 1 on the first lap. So that car there, Cesar Ramos, will be being looked at by the stewards, and we'll have to see what they say.
I mean, we only had a view from the onboard camera of Caca Bueno's car, so there will be other camera shots, and that's where the stewards are able to look at it, analyse it, and if there's a penalty to be carried out, then it will be number 1 that will suffer it. But it looked to me so much to be a racing incident. Cesar Ramos had fallen back into the group of cars prior to getting into the corner, so whether he was pushed initially or whether he just pushed somebody else, I don't know. He certainly seemed to come quite aggressively across the front of the BMW and hit the side of Enzo Eid's Audi, and that was Enzo Eid out into the gravel trap and out of the race.
Which is perfect news, really, for Nico Verdonk and more importantly, his teammate Maximilian Goetz, because if they take the win here, that'll give them, they've got a 6-point advantage at the moment, but they'll pick up 25 points for a race win. So that'll give them a 31-point advantage at the top of the championship, because second place in the championship aren't going to score. Third place in the championship, which is Eid and, well, it's joint with Ramos and Vanthor and Eid and Rast. Neither of them are going to score. Well, Ramos and Vanthor still may, but nevertheless, really good news for the 84 car. but that's if they win the race, because we've still got 43 minutes to go, 44 minutes to go, let's call it, and Caca Bueno is right up behind Nico Verdonk, and they've said all weekend, the Mercedes guys, that it's going to be very, very difficult for them this weekend. Look at the differing lines, that's very interesting, but the Mercedes is not the car to have around here.
Well, the Mercedes is a very quick car, but just compared to the Audi and the Lamborghini at this racetrack, they feel that you need a mid-engine car here to be competitive. The Mercedes is mid-engine, but it's in front of the driver rather than behind. With Caca Bueno, you can see in the BMW took a totally different line into turn 13, using the bite that he's getting from the front of the car to hold the car in, whereas Nico Verdonk was taking the more traditional 2 apex line into turn 13. The advantage that the Mercedes has got over the BMW is probably a little bit more straight line speed. It's really from this point onwards in the exit of turn 2 into the second sector that Caca Bueno is gaining back some of the ground lost on the high speed parts of the racetrack, because the BMW fundamentally is a higher downforce package. Now under braking you're going to see the cars closing back up again, and as you get into this more technical part of the racetrack, I mean, he's basically halved the distance in the space of that exit of turn 2 to turn 3. Again, under acceleration the Mercedes pulls away, but into turn 5 and then the never-ending 180-degree turn 6. Again, look how much Bueno can carry speed into the apex, closes again right down, and that's where the BMW's applying its extra, in effect, downforce and balance and grip in these low-speed corners, almost onto the tail of the Mercedes coming through turn 8, then the acceleration down to turn 9, just about flat out. You know, it's always just tippy to balance as you get through. And we lead those two cars battling for the lead.
We move on to Cesar Ramos, who is battling for 6th position with Thomas Jaeger. Looked like he was right up the back of the Schubert BMW, running wide just in front, kicking up a bit of dust is Marc Basseng, who's running in 5th place. Oh, and very late on the brakes, Vincent Abril. Wow, that was interesting. Oh, and the thing to point out here is Miguel Torrell has dropped right back, hasn't he? So Torrell was 4th at the start of this lap, but he's now down in 6th position, I think, with 7th place Vincent Abril, 8th place Vincent Abril right up behind him.
We didn't catch where that position was lost, but what is clear, Vincent Abril has lost contact now with Cesar Ramos, which he was so keen to try and maintain. That's why he took a bit of a punt coming down into turn 10. That's where the back of the car was dancing all over the place, just about managed to keep it, but up along, well, not quite alongside, coming out of turn 13. So Vincent Abril frustrated now that he's lost that close contact to Cesar Ramos, who did take away the position from the young French driver some 3 laps before.
So that means that Marc Basseng is in 4th position in the car, in the Pro-Am car. He shares with Anglo-Italian Alessandro Latifi, and they're currently comfortably leading the Pro-Am class. 2nd place is René Munich. He's down in 13th position. Here's a look on board with Cesar Ramos. Are we going to see what happened to Miguel Torrell up in front? He goes very, very wide into 6th. And as a result, Thomas Jaeger sees the opportunity to go past, and I presume Cesar Ramos is going to do him as well, down into turn 8, through the kink of 7, and here it is.
Yeah, and I think just again, the whole situation for Miguel Torrell was slightly unseated by the BMW getting through, kept out on the left part of the exit of turn 6, maybe picked up a little bit of rubber on his tyres, so didn't have the bite and the grip, and of course, not Miguel Torres, but Cesar Ramos was all over him like a rash, and this man, Vincent Abril, frustrated now that he wasn't able to follow through with that group of 3 cars or 2 cars that should have been 3, taking the position away from the Fortec Mercedes.
Again, the race leader, Nico Verdonk, under pressure from Caca Bueno as they come through turn 8, but it's through the rest of the corners that the Mercedes starts to stretch its legs. We go on board, and these next 2 turns will be good for the BMW, but then as we get into the faster corners, the Mercedes starts to pull away again, which is what we're going to see here. On board with Caca Bueno, still chasing down Nico Verdonk in the lead of this race in the 4th round of the 2014 Blancpain Sprint Series, and that is the championship leading car up in front of us. Now Marc Basseng has got past Miguel Torrell. He's gone half a second quicker than the top 3 in front of him, but again we're seeing that the same line, differing lines from Verdonk and Bueno.
Verdonk has taken what I would consider to be the traditional 2 apex lines, and it doesn't hurt him. It just suits his particular driving style or the characteristics of the car, where Caca Bueno is able to use the downforce and the bite of the car to hold that in, and really, rather than making 2 apexes, just follows around the circumference of the corner, and hope that that's going to give him an advantage on the exit. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Bottom line is that Verdonk is able to consolidate his advantage off turn 13 all the way down to turn 1.
So here's a look at the moment where Vincent Abril was, I don't know if he was going to, he meant to have a look there, he just seemed to get unstable under braking.
Well, he came down, he had a look down the inside, goes very late on the brakes. Vincent Vos, Pierre Dieudonné probably had a little hard on the mouth. Thierry Tassin, part of the management structure of WRT, they were sitting there thinking, oh, please, no more contact. Bloody pedal repair bill is going to be enormous.
Yeah, exactly, they've already had 2 cars take each other out so far.
And also, you've got the
3
Phoenix
cars
as well.
actually, yeah.
With Nicky Meyer-Melnhoff. Maybe he still had a touch of the temper in him that he had after yesterday when he went to see the stewards. I've never seen Nicky Meyer-Melnhoff as puce in the face as he was when he almost attacked me. You know, look at the regulations, I can't. He went nuts, absolutely nuts.
Can't blame him for almost
I think he might have calmed down a bit.
So we've got 2 WRT cars out of the race, which is Fabian Hamprecht and Stefan Ortelli in the 9 car, and the number 2 car of Enzo Ede and Ede and Rast are still going. They have managed to get out there, but Enzo's running down in 12th position at the moment. We are on board with Cesar Ramos, the leading WRT car at the moment, in 6th position. And that up in front of us is Thomas Jaeger, the Austrian in the BMW. And these race leaders are now going to be lapping Sasha Halleck before too long, who's running down in 14th position. Stefano Colombo has got out from the pit lane, but is 2 laps down, so he's going to have a difficult weekend or difficult afternoon. But he could still, if anything happens to the other Silver Cup guys, pick up a podium. So it's worth going out there again for Colombo. But now here's Caca Bueno just weaving around to try and put off Nico Verdonk in front of him, but Verdonk, an experienced GT racer. The gap back to Lucas Wolff is only 1.9 seconds from Bueno, so Wolff is reeling them in maybe 3 or 4 tenths of a second a lap. Here's a look from Sergei Afanasiev as he now tries to get past Vincent Abril, and Afanasiev up in 9th place now. He's progressing well.
The battle I would like to keep an eye on is that Thomas Jaeger in 5th place, closing down less than half a second behind Marc Bassang in what actually is the leading Audi in this afternoon's race. And the BMW again showing, as we see here on board with Caca Bueno, very quick in this second sector of the circuit, and trying again to use the speed of the BMW where it's got it, and offset the disadvantages where it is slightly slower down the straight in particular. And again, just Verdonk being cautious, not quite certain where the Lamborghini is planning to go as it comes through the exit of turn 6, then back again 7, and then hard on the brakes. And Bueno, not even using the full width of the racetrack, just showing the BMW's nose at every opportunity to try and keep Nico Verdonk looking in the mirrors one way or the other, start getting his distraction to play to the advantage of the BMW.
There are the drivers getting ready down in the pits, and Max Goetz we saw there getting prepared, and still closing in is Lucas Wolff in 3rd position, and in fact he's getting closer and closer every lap. So this could come into play, that the third HDP Motorsport Mercedes in 3rd place at the moment. A new entry for this weekend, and they're out there racing in the Silver Cup. Good to see more entries in the Silver Cup, which is a new thing from SRO this season, which is promoting silver-rated drivers under the age of 25. If they race together, they can get some pretty good prize money. But now, right up behind as they come across the line, is Caca Bueno, behind Nico Verdonk. It was 3 tenths of a second last time they crossed the line. It was now 2 tenths of a second coming down towards turn 1. But the BMW not particularly strong into the first corner, so he's going to be very, very brave if he wants to get past there. And also, the straight line speed isn't the BMW's strength. It's not as bad as it has been in the past.
But what was clear was that Caca Bueno had got closer to the back of the Mercedes in turn 13 than it's probably been at any point. And again, out of turn 1, so I think that the BMW using its tires a little bit more sympathetically than Nico Verdonk, who's had to be very strong in his defence. And Caca Bueno closer at every point on the circuit on this lap than anywhere so far in the 25 minutes or so this race has been underway.
So the pit stop window is now open, which is a 10-minute section where all the cars have to come in, change driver, change all 4 tyres and head back out again. There's no minimum pit stop time. It's all about how quickly you can do it, and that's Max Goetz, who's going to be taking over the car that is at the moment in the lead of this race. But will Caca Bueno be able to find a way past as they come into the tight, twisty sections? This is going to be his chance if he can get up the inside into turn 8.
Turn 8 has got to be the chance he's going to look for, and it's not made available to him. He goes back, tries to make the cut back. Now, can he get a run out of turn 8? But it's such a short sprint down to turn 9. Next opportunity is going to be a very brave one. on the exit of turn 9, up and over the tunnel, and then the drop down into turn 10. And watch for Cacabueno. Is he going to take the punt, or is he going to think the better of it?
Thinks better of it for the time being anyway. And the thing that BMW might have to their advantage is I'm imagining Verdonk will come in quite soon to hand over to Max Goetz, because I think Goetz is potentially the quicker of the two, whereas Cacabueno may be confident he can stay out there for a lap, put in a quick lap time and perhaps gain the edge.
Well, if I was in the BMW position, assuming that we're going to see the Mercedes come in at the end of this lap, Nico Verdonk hand over, as you mentioned, to Maximilian Goetz, and he is coming in because there's the outside line that you take to make the pit lane entrance. Cacabueno has now got the opportunity with a clear racetrack to show the performance. His last lap was, well, 2 minutes 4. In fact, his best lap's a 2.2, so he will want to try and shave as many, well, almost seconds off his best lap. There's still a battle going on between the two Mercedes.
Yep, this is Sergei
Afanasiev for 6th and 7th place.
Yep, he is right up behind Miguel Torrell as they come down towards the first corner. So in the pits, we've got Nico Verdonk, our race leader. This is also where the teams can make a big change. Through goes Afanasiev, reasonably straightforward. He goes past Miguel Torrell, but this is, as I say, where the teams can make a big, big difference to the race order. We saw it in Zandvoort. A slow pit stop can really cost you. That's Laurens Vanthoor getting in the Cesar Ramos car. Just one more tyre to go now for the HTP squad. Goes on, that looked pretty clean. Engine fires up and away he goes. So that was a good stop from HTP.
Yep, and they will be happy with that. Get back out on the track. Hopefully they get out at a part of the track where there is relatively little traffic around them, and then with the fresh set of tyres on, well, there's just one car ahead of them. One is the Renault Munich. Yeah, Mercedes, so that'll not be a particular issue. And with fresh tyres, you want to max that out as possible, as quickly as possible.
Now look at this. Out has come the number 1 car, well in front of the Schubert BMW. So the 76 Schubert team have lost out in that pit stop change, and that's a shame for them. But Dominic Baumann now at the wheel, who won the first ever GT race here in 2011. But here is the man, Cacabueno. He's the man who's got to put the power down. And actually here at Slovakia Ring last season, it was the Brazilians who did the quickest pit stops of anyone. Do you remember we saw them celebrating halfway through the race? We wondered what it was about.
We thought it was carnival time in the pit.
Exactly.
Anyway, keep an eye on Cacabueno. His last lap was 2 minutes 04. His best is 2.02. I'd like to think he's going to do somewhere in the 2.3s or maybe even a high 2.02 point something.
But look at Wolf. You just saw the graphic there. Wolf is closing in on them as well. Jimenez surely will be taking over on this lap. And that means Lucas Wolf is going to stay out there and inherit the lead of the race in the HTP Mercedes. But in now comes Cacabueno. This is, for the moment, the battle for the lead of the race. Past the big pit control, race control building on the left-hand side there. Now under the pit garages, the cameras flashing as he comes into the pits. Our camera's down there to watch this vital pit stop, which could determine the lead of the race if the BMW guys can do a good job.
Into they start the left rear, work round to the right rear. Watch that wheel, it might have been a problem. They've got to then go forward. I mean, it is such a demanding task. These guys doing these pit stop changes. I've got to drop wheels, pick up wheels, do it in sequence, get it right. Good stop. I mean, that's a great stop for the Brazil. They're going to be back out ahead of this, what was leading Mercedes-Benz, because well there it is. The BMW is rolling, waiting for the Mercedes to come out of turn 14 through 13, and it's going to be, well, side by side as they come into turn 1. Great effort by the Brazil team.
But here we go then. Sergio Jimenez drops the throttle. It's going to be very, very tight because the Mercedes is at full racing speed and the Mercedes holds it for the time being. So that is the 84 car back into the lead then. But we've still got a few more pit stops to come. Lucas Wolf in the second HTP machine has to come in. Good stop from the Brazilians, but not good enough. It's still now Max Goetz who is in the lead of the race instead of Sergio Jimenez once the pit stops all filter out.
Yeah, looking down through the field, we've now got Rennie Rast in car number 2. He's just set fastest sector times. Sector 1, Maximilian Goetz, fastest sector time in his outlap, and sector 2 now fastest sector time in sector 1 to the Mercedes driver. He's gone off.
That's Laurens Vanthoor on the exit of turn 2. So he must have run wide, got on the gravel, and then struggled to sort the car out.
Well, I mean, he's gone way, way wide. I mean, he's been off the racetrack, over the tunnel, and just came back onto the racetrack before he turned into turn 3.
Yeah, big moment there for Laurens Vanthoor, the defending
look
champion.
At the grass. He's going to have a problem with overheating if he's not careful, because that car, that's the best grass cutter you can see this weekend at Slovakia Ring.
Looks more like a grasser car. Sorry.
Oh, I mean, he's way, way off on the gravel. That's a fundamental. I mean, you don't often see Laurens Vanthoor lucky not to tag the barrier, so he just gets to the tunnel and then drops down. But the amount of grass that the car is sided by the front splitter may well become an issue with, 28 minutes of this race to go.
Into the pits comes Miguel Toril to hand over to his teammate Aman Ibrahim. And you can see there is Laurens Vanthoor down into the left-hander. And if he still had to make his pit stop, of course, they can come in and just sort of scrape some of that grass out. But because the pit stop has already happened, he won't be able to. Max Goetz now at the wheel of the HTP Mercedes, and he is looking quick. Fastest first sector of anyone, as John said. A 59.3 in the middle sector, which is very impressive.
Well, Caco Bueno, he's done a great job for his team. Sergio Jimenez has not been able to, stay in contact with Maximilian Goetz. Goetz did have the advantage of having that one extra lap, and then gets the feel for the car, the feel for the track. Sergio Jimenez is now going on to his first flying lap, having come out from the pit stop. You saw Caco Bueno just an inch. That's all it was, just an inch.
Very frustrating.
Coming in, Laurens Vanthoor has got to come in to clear that grass.
Yeah, a real shame for the WRT Audi, and this is really, as we move to the final 3 rounds of the season in Portugal, Zolder and Baku, this is really giving a strong advantage now to the 84 HTP Mercedes of Max Goetz. There you can see the number 4 car. Vincent Abril has been into the pits and now handed over to Mateusz Lasowski. They're under investigation for a pit stop infringement, and their team manager has been asked to go and see the race director immediately. So a little bit of trouble there. More trouble here, though.
It didn't take long for that to boil up, did it?
No.
And that was a little over a lap from the point he went off, and that is absolutely, dread to think what it's doing to the engine and the overflow system. Simply when you go off the racetrack, as we saw Laurens Vanthoor do, it's not the grass in the grill, it's the grass that's behind the grill, and of course you can't really get at it. The engine's steaming. They're going to try and send them out, because once the car came in and all you had was a massive heat soak, and the water would be pouring out of the back of the car under that pressure.
So also into the pits we've got our race leader now, Lucas Wolff. He and Mark Basseng have come into the pits, so we're going to find out who's going to be ultimately in the lead of the race. Out comes Laurens Vanthoor. Here is Lucas Wolff handing over to Lucas Stoltz. Just got to wedge him in. He's tall, Lucas Stoltz, as you can see.
He's not very supple, though, is he? It's a bit of a leg over type thing.
Bit more Pilates needed.
A bit more Pilates.
Here come our race leaders, then, I think, who will retake the lead. Yeah, you can see the HTP squad still changing the rear right wheel. So into the lead of the race goes Max Goetz as he comes across the line.
And Jimenez last lap was 1.2 seconds quicker than Maximilian Goetz. So Jimenez has now found the grip of the car, got the confidence, and is really flying and reeling back in what will be ultimately the race leader, Maximilian Goetz.
So we've also seen Alessandro Latifi come out of the pits well in front of the HTP guys, so it was a really slow stop for Lucas Wolff and Lucas Stoltz. So that means that Alessandro Latifi, I think, ultimately may be up to 3rd place. We'll wait and see how that pans out next time around. But we know that in the lead will definitely be the 84 car of Maximilian Goetz, the man leading the championship by 6 points. His championship rivals are out, so if things remain like this, he's going to be 31 points ahead. But as you say, Jimenez was quicker on that last lap, a very slow lap for Goetz. In fact, Dominic Baumann is currently the quickest man on the circuit as well. So action all over the place here. The pit stop window's about to close. Everyone has been in to complete their pit stops, so that's all good. And this is now Lucas Stoltz right up behind Rene Rast. A battle for what is around about 5th position, most likely. We go on board with Caco Bueno, and with Sergio Jimenez, and he is now closed in on Max Goetz.
Yeah, well, that's because the last lap that Jimenez did, it was 1.2 seconds quicker than Maximilian Goetz. But we're now seeing last laps very much slower from these lead cars. We don't know why they're showing 2 minutes 08, 2 minutes 09.
That's
those cars coming in. So these two cars, Jimenez 2 minutes 2 for Goetz, 2 minutes 0.8. So,
but Jimenez's tires are fresher.
Yeah, well, 1 lap fresher. But the point is that Jimenez looked a little bit apprehensive when he went out of the pits. He lost, potentially, they thought, the lead, and he just was tentative on his opening lap. Now he's got the feel for the car and the confidence. Now he's pushing in the same way we saw from Caco Bueno.
And Goetz was nowhere near. He was nowhere near getting the apex at that second part of the corner, and as a result, Sergio Jimenez in the BMW Team Brazil car moves into the lead of the race. He tried to do the double apex, totally missed the second apex, and as a result, he was on the grass.
Well, you don't often see a mistake from the young German driver such as that. That was a real own goal, if you want to call it that. And that's all Sergio Jimenez needed. He saw the opportunity. He was applying the pressure. His last lap again was Jimenez 2:01 against Gotz's 2:03. So they're clearly, well, that was also caused by going on the grass. So the performance with the BMW vis-a-vis the Mercedes, top for Brazil in exit of turn 13.
And now here's the battle as Lucas Stolz tries to get past René Rast for 5th position. Dominic Baumann has come out in 3rd position in the Schubert BMW. Superb for them. Behind in 4th place is Alessandro Latifi. And at the moment in 5th place is René Rast, but he's in all sorts of trouble there for René Munich.
Yeah.
He has been off the circuit because because he's off the circuit, but also there's some gravel around. So I wonder if he's run into trouble. I can't quite make out.
I think that's coming into turn 7, exit of turn 6.
Exit of turn 6 into turn 7. So not quite sure how he's.
And there is gravel on the track as well as rubber, but he just, I assume, has a self-induced spin at the exit of turn 6.
Quickest man in the first sector by
Yellow
a second.
flag waved up at the exit of turn 8 into turn 9.
Yeah, so someone, but there you can. Well, it's before that the main problem happens for Max Goetz. It happens during the corner, but that's the end result.
Yeah. Also, what compounds it is the grass here is absolutely sodden from the amount of rain that fell. It didn't stop raining. We went out to dinner at 9 o'clock at night, and it was tipping it down. So the racetrack, and also what's happened to
that's Munich recovering. But I think he was at turn 10, not turn.
Yes, it was at turn 10.
6
Yes, that's why the waved yellow flag was. It looked like 6, but it turned out to be 10.
Drive-through penalty for Vincent Abril and Mateusz Lasowski, the men who are currently in 2nd place in the Silver Cup. And that is for a pit stop infringement, so that's a shame for them. They're currently in 8th place. They'll drop right down the order. And we're watching now Alessandro Latifi, who is in 4th position. Very, very strong performance from he and Marc Basseng. What are Latifi's lap times like?
2:03 was the last lap for Latifi against a 2:0 for Baumann. Baumann is the quick car right
He's
now.
flying.
The two BMWs, Jimenez leading, but Dominic Baumann fastest first sector of all in this last lap, 2:00.420 by, well, half a second almost, the quickest lap pretty much, well, almost quick lap. Baumann's got a 2:00.1.32 and a 2:00.420. He is flying.
Yeah, very, very quick stuff from Dominic Baumann, but he's 5 seconds off Max Goetz in 2nd place, so he'll need to keep that pace up for quite a while if he wants to haul in the race leaders. There's Stef Dusseldorp now at the wheel of the 85 Mercedes. They're still in 10th position, but here is the flying young Austrian Dominic Baumann, 2012 FIA GT3 European champion, alongside Maximilian Buch in the Heiko Mercedes, and he raced with Grasser Racing last year alongside Harry Procek, but now for this season he's switched to Schubert's. But there's our race leaders, the Brazilians, Sergio Jimenez and Caca Bueno. But you can look at the cup time he's taken out down here.
I'm just going to point out the last lap across, the gap between 2nd and 3rd was 5.1 seconds. It's probably been just about half, maybe 3 seconds as they come down into turn 10. So the BMW of Brazil, Team Brazil car, just beginning to eke out that advantage is now on the last lap just over 2 seconds. It's probably up to nearly 3 seconds. And then there's going to be a threat coming from Dominic Baumann in 3rd place, so Maximilian Goetz, whatever his issues are, and I don't think that was a driving error, he missed it because he couldn't get the car to respond. So maybe something he's not happy with, and that's the reason why he ran wide.
So very impressive performance from Dominic Baumann. He'll be closing in.
See, the BMW, Dominic Baumann, nowhere near the apex of turn 13, but the car has got the bite to stay on track, whereas the Mercedes just seem to be being drawn wider, and I wonder whether there's something that we might find out later, either from the team or hopefully maybe when we get down to the Parc Fermé, as to what was the problem for Maximilian Goetz when he ran wide.
There are the Schubert squad, and there is Thomas Jaeger, the man who has joined Dominic Baumann in that 3rd place car, and the gap is now down to 3.2 seconds between 2nd and 3rd place, and he's only 5.6 seconds off the lead of the race with 19 minutes still to go. So this is really strong stuff from Dominic Baumann, but how long can he keep it up for? That's the question.
Well, it was 5 seconds. The previous lap was now 3.2 seconds, so he's taken the thin end of 1.8 seconds out of the 2nd place Mercedes-Benz, the car we're now looking at. Maximilian Goetz lost the lead. You can see again his car suffering from the same thing that we saw from Laurens van Voor. He's picked up a lot of grass on the left front of that Mercedes-Benz, and whether that's going to have an effect on the cooling of the Mercedes. It's not just the engine cooling, but also gets into the brake ducts. And anything that's very vulnerable around the front of a car, go onto the grass. As we look again, the brake ducts don't think are going to be a problem. It just might have caught the bottom of the water or oil cooling radiators on the Mercedes. Much less of a problem than we saw with Lawrence Van Thor.
Yeah, it's not steaming for one thing, but
down to probably just under 2 seconds coming into turn 10. So Dominic Baumann is just chewing up, taking tenths of a second every corner around this 5.9 kilometer, let's say, lap 14 corners. Great racetrack, lots of high-speed elements, some slopes parts. Middle section, very technical. Sections 1 and 3 more aerodynamic and therefore more about straight line speed.
So there we saw first, second and third coming through. Sergio Jimenez in the 0 BMW Team Brazil car. Max Goetz in second. Dominic Baumann there in third place. And well, the gap, as you say, was 3.2 seconds. As they come across the line this time, it's down to 1.1 seconds. So within this lap, Baumann is going to be right under the rear wing, but will he be able to find a way past?
Exactly, it's going to be the same situation that we saw with Caco Bueno, that there's going to have to be an opportunity, an error or something for Dominic Baumann. He's got the pace to close down the Mercedes without any difficulty whatsoever, running in clear air. Now he's closing down to the rear of the Mercedes as usual. The aerodynamic effect comes into play, and also it's the pace the Mercedes is running at. You lose your momentum, so he's got to choose very carefully where he thinks his greatest strength on the 5.9 kilometer. He runs very wide into turn 3 and slightly wider than I would have thought he might have chosen to do.
This is interesting too. Look, Jimenez is in the same BMW car, consistently consistently slower than Dominic Baumann as well. So Baumann not only closing on second place Mercedes, which you may expect, but is also closing in on race-leading BMW.
Yes, but Jimenez is not under pressure. He's got a 3.2 second advantage, and it's an extending advantage, so he's just driving within himself and within the car's performance. It's really going to be this battle that's going on for second place with Dominic Baumann now almost in a position to think about, well, I've got an opportunity over the top of the hill, down the inside into turn 10. It's a risky place to do it, but he gets alongside and he makes it look so easy.
Carried so much speed through turn 9, didn't he? It was incredible. He just breezed up to the back of the Mercedes, and Dominic Baumann is now up into second position in the Schubert BMW.
Did I read it like a book, or was it you read it like a book?
I don't know. It's because you got those glasses and you can wear your sunglasses over the top of them as well. So it's a second place now for Baumann, and off is Aman Ibrahim, the Indian racer, sliding off through the grass, and it looks like he'll be able to recover. No, he's somewhere in the Slovakian countryside, not quite sure where.
Well,
he's lucky he's not in a cornfield.
He's coming out of turn 8. So suddenly he got all wide coming out of turn 8, used the curb and got caught out as a consequence again, going through the grass, and wonder why much of the Mercedes has been turned to green as we look back. Is that lost on the Cesar Ramos'
that
car?
is, yeah, so Ibrahim's recovered and he has now lost out to that man, which is Mateusz Lasowski, who has moved up into 9th position. So it's 8th now for Steph Dusseldorp in the HDP Mercedes, 9th and here's the battle now. Through on the inside goes Lucas Stoltz. He goes past Alessandro Latifi and takes 5th position away. René Rast has already got past the Audi as well. So René Rast is up into 4th place. There you can see the number 2 car turning through the second corner. And here's a replay of the pit stop of number 86. And we're going to see what happens as the mechanics hand over the wheels. And that is Lucas Wolf, who is walking away from the car. Lovely slow-mo action, and I think we're going to have a bit of a collision here somewhere. Mechanic picks up the wheel, and oh dear, here comes the contact, John. Wheel into the back of the legs by the looks of it.
I mean, the mechanics,
Wolf goes down.
Yeah, but he didn't expect the driver to be sort of making his way into the garage at the point. There you can see there's frustration. Well, I mean, whose responsibility is it? The guy taking the wheel off has got to get rid of it as quick as possible. In my view, Lucas Wolf should have been a bit more on his toes and got out of the way, and not got into the way in the first place.
So, through now, over the start-finish line comes David Fuminelli, who is currently down in 13th position, and just up in front of him is Laurens Van Thor, who's in 11th place, but a lap ahead of Fuminelli. But meanwhile, we go back to look at Lucas Stoltz in 6th position. Here couple of tenths of a second really behind, or maybe up to a second now, behind René Rast, who has climbed into 4th place. So René Rast looks to be the big winner.
I mean, you remember that car was off the track in turn 1. And I mean, we thought it's got to be out. And I mean, Enzo Reid has done a very good job to recover it. René Rast has taken it forward. He's got that car up into 4th place, albeit 16 seconds behind Maximilian Götz, now in 3rd place.
Dominic Baumann on that last lap took 1.3 seconds out of the lead of the race. So this time around, there's going to be about a second between Jimenez and Baumann for 1st position. That's going to be very, very interesting to see with just 13 and a half minutes to go here at the Slovakia ring. There in 8th place is Stef Dusseldorp, the car that started in 19th position on the grid. So I think 8th place for them will be reasonably satisfactory. But here's our race leader, Sergio Jimenez. Plenty of GT experience for him. There you can see 1.2 seconds on the last lap. Only 4 tenths the lap before, but I think that was the one he was overtaking the Mercedes on, and then 1.2 seconds before that as well. So Baumann is coming, but 13 minutes to go. And as I say, Jimenez, very experienced racer, plenty of GT racing experience. He was actually Lewis Hamilton's teammate in Formula Renault back in the UK, so he knows what he's doing, Jimenez.
I mean, well, Jimenez knows what he's doing, but so does Dominic Baumann, and we saw that great overtake opportunistically a lap ago over the top down into turn 10, and Brazil, who thought they had this race fairly comfortably in control, particularly with Maximilian Götz in 2nd place, and maybe not realised or focused quite so much on Dominic Baumann, who is now chewing into the advantage. 7-8 tenths of a second a lap on the last lap. We've got 12 and a half minutes of the race remaining. He will catch the Brazilian team BMW without any problems whatsoever.
Quicker than you can say it, yeah.
The question is Dominic Baumann, when he gets into the rear wing of the leading BMW, going again to lose the pace that he's displayed really since he got behind the wheel of this car?
Especially because, well, I mean, he seems to be quicker all the way around the circuit. That last lap again, it was 1.1 seconds. And there's Caca Bueno. He looks a little bit almost resigned to defeat at the moment, but less than 12 minutes to go here at the Slovakia ring. This race has flown by, especially compared to yesterday. There's always been something going on over the crest of the hill, down in towards turn 2. But it's going to be more difficult for Baumann surely to pass Jimenez because they're in the same car.
Well, yes, indeed. But what Baumann has been able to do is just consistently lap quicker than Sergio Jimenez, who we thought was doing a brilliant job in this Team Brazil BMW, getting ahead of Maximilian Götz. Now Jimenez is under pressure. The gap is down to 1.5 seconds as they now come through the tail of the circuit, coming through turns 11 into 12 and so into turns 4 and 5, now coming into this long turn 6. And Baumann has been able to chew up the advantage in this middle sector where the BMW is inherently the strongest car probably in the field. And even though, look, you can see the gap now down to probably less than a second as they go through turn 8. And Baumann will be pumped because he knows the pass he made a couple of laps earlier on the Mercedes over the top of the tunnel down into turn 10 is the move he's going to try and use with the same effect on Sergio Jimenez. Jimenez still taking the traditional line, staying well to the right of the track, coming back, but Baumann knows that if I can just be in the right position at the right time and not give away too much, because Jimenez doesn't know the pass that Baumann made on Götz.
Yeah, absolutely.
After I said all that.
Baumann is right up now behind Jimenez. Really, this is a really impressive drive from Dominic Baumann, no doubt about it, because that Schubert BMW has got some serious pace this afternoon. 10 minutes to go as they come across the line to start the 25th lap of the race here in the Slovakia ring, and this is the battle for the lead. Sergio Jimenez and Dominic Baumann are running in 1st and 2nd places. It's Jimenez in the BMW Team Brazil car. Behind him is Dominic Baumann in the 76 Schubert BMW. 3rd place at the moment is Max Götz, the championship leader. René Rast is running in 4th place in the WRT Audi, and 5th at the moment is Alessandro Latifi. Sten Pentas actually doing a good job in 6th place in the Vitek McLaren.
Interesting watching these two BMWs battling now for the lead at the pace that Dominic Baumann has. The car that is currently leading, the Zero car, we know had an engine change, and we heard from Antonio Herman that they were very happy with the performance from the car. But you know, look how much Baumann, when really he is picking up time. I suspect it's at every part of the racetrack where there's a corner or under braking. probably not a lot of difference in straight line performance between the two cars, other than Baumann is marginally quicker off turn 13, for example, down the main straight into turn 1. But it's just simply that Baumann has got a balance in that car, and he's got a grip factor which doesn't appear to be the case of Jimenez. So let's see, can he do to Jimenez what he did to Goetz into turn 10? That's what I'm waiting to see. Not this lap, he's not close enough as they go through turn 9.
Up the hill, and this is where Baumann made the move then down into the hairpin at turn 10, and he's showing his nose, letting Jimenez know that he's there, and it looks as though Jimenez went in a little bit deep, but I think he's just taking that wider line in that he always does. But now they're absolutely nose to tail as they come out onto the back straight through the left-hand kink at 12 and down towards turn 13, and this could be an opportunity for Baumann. We've seen a few cars get their nose up the inside, even if they're not close enough under braking. Looks to the inside line, Jimenez brakes, turns in, but really hug the inside line all the way around. Surely he's got to, otherwise Baumann will be there.
Yeah, but Baumann is there. If I was in Baumann's position, I wouldn't be showing my hand, because the place I think he's got that's going to be the surprise pass for Sergio Jimenez is over the bridge down into turn 10. By indicating that you're prepared to come down the inside before you're in a position to execute it, you're giving Jimenez a signal that you are prepared to try and do something, so he can then think from a defensive perspective, come over the top of the tunnel, plant his car right in the middle of the racetrack. So it's all about strategy and thinking about how can I outthink the car that I'm chasing or the car that is chasing me. But watch into turn 3. This is again where Baumann is really, really competitive. And he's not close enough to make a pass, but he's certainly close enough to put pressure on Jimenez as they come down into... Look how much he makes up under braking, and just the front end bite of Baumann's car clearly is giving him more grip than we're seeing from Jimenez.
Team Schubert have really got that car hooked up. They've only made their Blancpain GT Sprint Series debut in Zandvoort at the last race, and these guys managed to finish third, but they said it was only because of the wet conditions that they managed it. But now, here in the dry, they're looking very strong. We're on board with Jimenez through the left-hander of 7, down into the tighter left-hander of turn 8, and he's quite far away from the apex there as he tries to get the late turn, and I wondered if Baumann was there. But now into turn 9, this is the move that we saw lined up a few laps ago. He's not super close to the back of Jimenez, and Jimenez moves towards the middle. He doesn't look to have that advantage through 9 that he had on the Mercedes.
No, out of 8, again, look how close they are into turn 10, but out of turn 8, Jimenez is able to consolidate the gap, and it doesn't allow Baumann any opportunity to close up into turn 9, then over the top. So it's sort of status quo for these two cars at turn 8, turn 9, turn 10. But again, Baumann looking again to move it down the inside. Hasn't got track position, hasn't quite got the straight line speed to make that a pretty audacious maneuver to try and do it. Just follow the BMW, get a good exit. And again, Jimenez has got the slightly better exit. Of course, he's on the throttle a little bit earlier. But again, it's just giving him that little momentary breathing space before he's got to keep an eye and see what Baumann's planning to do. Not close enough to make a dive down the inside, you would have thought, and he thought better of it.
Absolutely. Maybe into turn 3 could be an opportunity for Baumann, because he's been so superior on the brakes there so far, and he is right up behind the BMW Team Brazil car as they come now through turn 2. 5.5 minutes to go here in the Slovakia ring, and this is the battle for the lead of the race. Down towards the 3rd corner, Baumann has been supreme on the brakes as they come into turn number 3 so often this weekend, and you'll see him just close right in, but this time he doesn't go quite as deep as he has done in previous laps, and Jimenez is aware of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's running right under the rear wing. All it means is you're going to be delaying your return to the throttle pedal, so this time maybe a little bit more thought about what he's doing. It's about ultimately track position. The track position he's got to focus on is to be as close to the back of the Brazil BMW as possible as they exit turn 8. That's the corner they're now coming into. So he's gone slightly deeper, more acute angle to try and get the acceleration. And he's got the acceleration this time out of turn 8, up into turn 9, and marginally closer these two cars are as they go through turn 9. But it's not going to be close enough for Baumann to make that move. We saw him execute so skillfully with Max Goetz in the Mercedes.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the advantage through turn 9. That's where Jimenez is looking pretty strong. Takes all sorts of curb and grass on the inside of turn 10. Caca Bueno looking pretty nervy. He's fingers crossed all around the Brazilian BMW camp. We've got 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go, so we've probably only got 2 laps to go by the time they get to the start-finish line. It'll be pretty close. Baumann slightly showing his nose towards the final corner, but nowhere near close enough. This is going to be very, very tight, actually, as to how many more laps we get out of this. I think we're about to start the penultimate lap of the race here, with 4 minutes to go as they come across the line. So this is the penultimate lap, I'd say, as they head down towards turn number 1 again, and it's Sergio Jimenez looking for BMW Team Brazil's first win in the Blancpain Sprint Series. Baumann pulls out just to show his nose, nothing doing.
No, but just puts more pressure on Sergio Jimenez, who's been under pressure pretty much since he got in behind the wheel of his BMW, again using the middle of the racetrack to deny anything from Baumann. Baumann again relatively close coming through turn 2, and on the exit runs the car right out to the very edge, slightly wider than the Brazil BMW does. Again, now this over the top little down under brakes. This is where Baumann has been strong, but again no opportunity to get up on the inside of the Brazil BMW, but right as close as you can be.
What superb racing in the Blancpain Sprint Series. We've had it all season. It's been a wonderful year in this championship, and hopefully we'll have a fun remaining 3 rounds as well. Kaka Bueno looked like he was getting a little exasperated, then he spotted himself on the TV and calmed it all down a little bit. Steph Dusseldorf's just done the fastest first sector of anyone in the HTP Mercedes, and here comes Baumann. He's got past the BMW Team Brazil car on the exit of turn 6, I think that was. And is that a problem for Jimenez? He seemed to have dramatically slowed down. Baumann is away, and he's in the lead of the race for Team Schubert.
Suddenly the BMW of Baumann just tore past the Brazil car. We didn't see the beginning of it, but it all happened in turn 5 and 6. It was coming off whatever happened in turn 3 into 4, and all of a sudden Dominic Baumann carried way more speed than Sergio Jimenez was able to do. I don't know whether Jimenez was caught wrong-footed by that move of Baumann, but whatever it was a successful and brilliant overtake by the young driver.
I'm wondering if he's gone around the outside of turn 6 or something there, because he's got such superior grip.
He did something which completely caught Jimenez by surprise, or maybe Jimenez did respond and react to the pressure.
So through the penultimate corner now, on the second to last lap of this race, Dominic Baumann has taken the lead and is now going to come across the line to start his final lap, and he is now in the lead of the race. Dominic Baumann for BMW Team Schubert. Superb performance from them. That car has had so much speed, it's been superb, and I don't think that Sergio Jimenez has got anything to fight back with. That last lap at 2-minute 1.990. Here comes the replay. This is round the right-hander of turn 6. And yeah, he goes around the outside. Superb stuff from Dominic Baumann. What a move to take the lead of the race on the penultimate lap. Kaka Bueno, well, that's a pensive figure he casts in the pit lane. Second place will still be the best result ever for the BMW Team Brazil squad in the Blancpain Sprint Series, but nevertheless, it's going to be huge frustration for them because they were within a lap of victory. But Dominic Baumann, the 2012 FIA GT3 European champion, alongside Max Buch, has taken the lead of the race here at turn 6 on the final lap. You can see the differing lines through there, actually. So maybe that is exactly how he did it. And Max Goetz is still running in 3rd place, but he's only 0.4 of a second ahead of René Rast. It's super close for 3rd position as they come onto the final lap, and Rast will be desperate to get past Goetz, so that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye out for. Now that Jimenez has dropped down into 2nd position, over the crest of the hill though, comes Dominic Baumann. And here are the two, and Rast is through. Rast has got past Max Goetz, so he is up into 3rd place on the final lap of the race. That drops the championship leaders down into 4th position. That'll be good news for Rast and Ede. It'll move them up to 3rd position in the Drivers' Championship as they turn through the left-hander. But here now, into the final corner, for the final time, comes the 76 Schubert BMW squad. They only joined the championship at the last round in Zandvoort. They had a podium finish there, but thanks to a superb drive from Dominic Baumann, they're going to take victory in Slovakia. A superb performance. Dominic Baumann and Thomas Jaeger win for Schubert BMW. It's 2nd place for Sergio Jimenez. He will be so frustrated that he let that lead slip. 3rd place on the final lap for René Rast. He and Enzo Ede finishing on the podium after being in the gravel trap at the first corner. 4th place for Max Goetz. That extends his championship advantage. But for 4th place, he will pick up 12 points. So it'll only be up to 18 points. fifth place now will be Lucas Stoltz and Lucas Wolf, and they win the Silver Cup with 5th overall. Pro-Am victory goes to Alessandro Latifi and Marc Basseng, their best overall finish of the season so far, with a 7th place slot. 6th position for Steph Dusseldorp and Sergei Afanasiev after starting in 19th on the grid. They will be pleased with that as well. But, well, what a performance for Dominik Baumann and his teammate Thomas Jäger. Baumann won here actually in one of the German championships a couple of weeks ago, and he has now been very, very strong, stepping up to the Blancpain GT Sprint Series. There across the line goes Mateusz Lisowski, so second in the Silver Cup for them, because Oman Ibrahim had 2 or 3 excursions into the gravel. Apparently there was contact between, reported contact between René Rast and Max Goetz, so it'll be interesting to find out how Rast got past, and that is now under investigation, as is the move between Lucas Stoltz and Alessandro Latifi. So a few investigations for the race directors to get their teeth into. Here across the line is the 34 car of David Fuminelli. He finishes down in 13th place and 4th in the Silver Cup. And, well, a bit of a rest now as Thomas Jäger runs down the pit lane, high fives with everyone out there. And these two guys initially wanted to enter the Silver Cup, but Dominik Baumann was classified as a gold driver, having won the 2012 GT3 European Championship. And, so as a result, they couldn't enter the Silver Cup. And I think they've proven their point, entering the Pro Cup and winning the race. But what a race it was here in Slovakia. First corner chaos put out Harry Procek, it put out Mateusz Stumpf, it put out Fabian Hamprecht. So it was a very, very entertaining race from start to finish. As we had yesterday, with a few red flag periods caused a little bit of tapping of the fingers, but nevertheless today has been entertainment from start to finish. And well, you have to feel for Sergio Jimenez. What a result that would have been for BMW Team Brazil. The increased Brazilian presence in the Blancpain Sprint Series is superb. It's wonderful to have them here. Antonio Herman and his squad coming out from Brazil for every race. And maybe in the future we'll be able to return the favour and go down there. We'll wait and see. But nevertheless, what a result for Sergio Jimenez, for Dominik Baumann and Thomas Jäger. He comes into the pit lane, picks up a bit of grass. On board now with Jimenez after that second place finish. You can see the race control tower there, the big building on the left-hand side. But what will the feelings be for Dominik Baumann? They had such a slow pit stop, remember. They lost a lot of time in the pits, it's worth recalling. But out now will climb Baumann. Jäger goes up to him. A tap on the shoulder and a little high five, but I think we might see something a little bit more dramatic now. Wonderful performance from Dominik Baumann and Thomas Jäger. And they go and hug their team. Great to see the Schubert squad taking victory. They last raced with us back in at the end of the 2011 season in the GT3 European Championship, but made their return to Blancpain Sprint Racing in Zandvoort last time out, and as I say, had a podium finish which was superb. I think it was second place, wasn't it, ahead of the Porsche of Jaap van Lagen in third, but a second place finish then was impressive, and they said it's because of the rain, but now it's dry. Dominik Baumann and Thomas Jäger have taken victory. Superb performance from them. Let's see what they got to say.
Dominik Baumann, Thomas Jäger, explain to us please, you started 19th in the grid, you win the race. Thomas, what happened at the beginning?
Yeah, I had a perfect start in the first corner. I think we were P6 or P5 or something. Then again, our pit crew made a perfect job at a stop, and then Dominik, he was just the fastest again, 1 second faster than the cars in front of him every lap. And so this was possible today for us, and we are all very happy after the bad Saturday yesterday that we are on the top.
Dominik, 2 great overtakes. First, Max Goetz to take ahead of the Mercedes. But then, where did you get past the Team Brazil car? Because suddenly you were much, much quicker.
I don't know what happened. So I tried it sometimes on the inside, on corner number 6, and it didn't work. So I thought, okay, I have to do something else because I'm quicker. And then it was just a decision from half a second. Okay, I go on the outside and try to stay on his side. and the next corner is the left corner, and so it worked, and it's just perfect. Yeah, it's great.
Now, during the commentary, we're trying to work out why is your BMW so much quicker, or appears to be so much quicker than the other BMWs in the field. I put it down to brilliant drives, but was it something secret in the car?
I don't know which tires they used. We used new tires, so I don't know, because we were not on Q3, and that could be a reason. The other reason, I don't know, we had a really perfect car. We had a damaged car on Q1 and Q2, and I couldn't give my best in the qualifying, but now everything was repaired, and I really like the track. So we have been here 2 weeks ago, the German Championship, so just everything came together, and brilliant job from everyone in the team.
Well done, Thomas. Well done, Dominic. Fantastic to see two young Chargers winning a race.
Well, that's a very good point actually that John made. It hadn't even occurred to me that they started so far back on the grid. 19th position. It was ultimately 18th once the race got started because we lost Fuminelli and Colombo. But yeah, they finished 19th in. Well, they didn't finish yesterday's qualifying race, so that only adds to the impressiveness of the performance from the BMW squad. And the Team Schubert guys will no doubt be very, very pleased with that, and so they should be. A phenomenal performance. But now we're going to hear from Sergio Jimenez. How frustrated must he be?
Great drive on your opening stint there, Kako. But sadly, at the end, you got caught by the other BMW.
Yes, no, it's a great race in the start. The peloton's a little bit crazy. I just wait and go in second, a good pace, and Jimenez make a good job. We qualifying in 21. We have a lot of problems in qualifying, and the team work very well. The cars go fast today, but the full problem in the last 2 laps. Not first to win, but we're happy.
Sergio, I mean, what can I say? You were just run down by a car identical car, but just seemed to be so much quicker than yours.
Yeah, they were much quicker. We need to find why, but we did as Kaka said, we did a very good job. We changed engine before the race, and everything was difficult for us, and we did P7, P2 was very good. Shame we lost the win because of fuel, had a fuel problem, but it's okay.
Anyway, you brought us sunshine into the pits. Thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you. So a fuel problem says Sergio Jimenez, affecting the outcome there of their race, but they'll still be on the podium and the best ever result for the BMW Team Brazil squad with us here in Blancpain Sprint. So positives all around, and there is the 0 BMW that has provided such entertainment this afternoon. René Rast did a superb job to come back to third position. Let's hear from him now.
Third place for René Rast, Enzo Weed. I mean, what can I say? Enzo, you got tagged big time into turn 1.
Yeah, I got a good run for the start. I was really in front, and then I hit two or three times and I spun around. So it's really a shame because I was really good, and still we finished P3 by, first of all, the guys from the tire change. They were really fast, and then my teammate was unbelievable, flying like hell. Really good, really nice to see.
Well, René, I've seen some brilliant drives from you all this year, not notably in Spa 24 hours. And just this one slipped under the radar. We weren't really focusing on you, but you did a brilliant job to get that third position just in the last lap.
Yeah, we had a small advantage. We had new tires, so I was a bit faster at the beginning, and then I caught up to the Mercedes, and I caught him in turn 6, the last lap. I have to apologize a bit because we touched a little bit. He went wide, he was sideways, I was sideways, and then we touched a little bit, and I got through. But nevertheless, did a great pit stop. I think we were the fastest, and yeah, it was just a great race for us.
I know that little love tap, you might call it that, it's been looked at by the steward just to see whether there was intent or not, but it was just a racing incident.
Yeah, for me it was. I mean, it's the last lap of a long race, and everybody just tries to defend or to gain a position, and we were...
René, no further action. You're safe, you're third place.
Great, cool. I'm happy, thank you.
Excellent, René, well done, thank you.
So there's John bringing René live news as it happens, and yeah, it has just come up on the timing screens. There will be no further action for that contact between René Rast and Maximilian Goetz. So it will be third place on the podium for them. They're making their way down now. Here's a look at the results. 29 laps and an epic race in the Slovakia ring. BMW's first and second. And I'm not sure that has ever happened in the Blancpain Sprint Series before. And it's Thomas Jaeger and Dominic Baumann ahead of Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez. BMWs have always been strong at this particular circuit though. Enzo Ede and René Rast taking third position. Nico Verdonk and Max Goetz in fourth place. Good news for their championship as some of their main rivals retire. Lucas Wolf and Lucas Stolz, their debut finishing in fifth place and winning the Silver Cup. Afanasiev and Dusseldorf from the back of the grid to sixth position, and Marc Basseng and Alessandro Latifi win the Pro-Am class. They finish in seventh place overall, and they can see Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthoor after a difficult race for them. They end up finishing down in 12th position. Sasha Halek and Stefan Landman in 12th spot, just behind Ramos and Vanthoor, but they were a lap down, and then David Fuminelli and Stefano Colombo were the last of our finishers in 13th place ultimately. And we lost the rest of the field after a difficult and attritional race, and the rain has just started actually here in Slovakia, so very nice that we've missed that. And here are our classified finishers. Colombo and Fuminelli took the flag. Anidi and Pantano retired, as did René Munich and Alex Zanardi with a puncture very early on. And then we also lost the 28 Lamborghini of Harry Procek, the 30 BMW of Matthias Stumpf, Fabian Hamprecht out as well, as with Nicky Meyer-Melnhoff. So we will be seeing the podium presentations reasonably shortly here in Slovakia. We're in the middle of farming countryside, plenty of cornfields on the way in, John, but it's very, very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, two outstanding drivers in my opinion. Dominic Baumann really gripped the BMW, the Schubert BMW, and ran down Team Brazil. They had a little issue at the end.
Here's the look at the points classifications then after that, and Max Goetz now has a big advantage over Jeroen Bleekemolen and Harry Procek in third place. Maximilian Buch hopefully will be returning for the remainder of the season, but it's Max Goetz who now has the advantage at the top of the standings. Third place, fourth place is now Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez, level on points with Enzo Ede and René Rast, so that's a very interesting development. Dominic Baumann and Thomas Jaeger, despite only competing in 2 races, are now up into 6th. Reigning champion Laurens Vanthoor down in 7th place.
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned Dominic Baumann, a great drive, but the one that flew under the radar for us was in fact René Rast, who was given the car by Enzo Ede, who had to recover from the tag in turn 1. And again, René Rast just delivering performances from Audi's above and beyond, you might say, expectations. And the stewards have announced that there's no further action to be taken. The contact that was probably just simply very light, bit of paint rubbing and so on and so forth. So they're delighted to be in the podium. What a great drive back through the field. Enzo Ede did a good job. Handed over to the Audi Meister, René Rast. I mean, just the guy is magic.
Top step of the podium then for Dominic Baumann and Thomas Jaeger. So the rain has just started here in Slovakia, so as soon as the anthem finishes, it's time to get the hats on. There you can see Pavel Chulik, the CEO of the Slovakia ring, handing out the third place trophies to Enzo Ede and René Rast, second place trophies, and a kiss as well for Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez. Great performance from them, wonderful to see them up on the podium again. But it's the top step of the podium for Dominic Baumann and Thomas Jaeger. For the first time, a victory for them in the Blancpain Sprint Series. Wonderful performance, and they are rightly the winners here in Slovakia after an excellent race.
The overtakes, particularly we saw Dominic Baumann getting past the Mercedes into turn 10, and then we didn't quite catch the overtake to take the lead of the race, and Dominic Baumann explained it to us in the Parc Fermé. He had to go the long way around.
The prize money being handed out by Stefan Rattel, so 30,000 euros for the winner, and that's more than helpful.
I'll tell you what, that would buy you a really top-of-the-range stereo amplifier.
Yes, it would. And now it's time for the champagne, and they won't mind getting wet because the rain is starting to come down here in Slovakia, so they're just going to get wetter. But delight for the Brazilians, their second podium in the Blancpain Sprint Series, but more delight for Dominik Baumann and Thomas Jaeger. They take victory for the first time here in Slovakia. A wonderful performance, and they are really enjoying themselves up there.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Schubert have come in, it's just, Zandvoort was their debut event and they were very strong there. And I mean, okay, you can if and or but. Had the race not had that instance in turn one, what would have happened? Remember, they started at the very back of the field. Okay, opportunism and just keeping out of trouble helped them get through in the opening laps. But the pace, both with Thomas Jaeger and Dominik Baumann, was there all the way through. And they were, on balance, the quickest car throughout the week, throughout this today's event.
There you can see some slow-mo champagne action on the top step. Enzo, he thought about not spraying it, but then decided actually he wanted to get involved. And he's had a strong weekend actually. He drove well yesterday. He was leading the race. He had a spin that put him out right at the end, but apart from that, he looked pretty confident. And again, to recover from spinning on the first lap today, he did well to get himself back into contention.
Yeah, and what he did, he brought the car back. I mean, the damage to the car was probably very small, but got it back on track. I mean, when you go through the gravel traps here, you get a right shot peening. Now, that's not a blank screen, that's the sky. That's what we're looking at from the commentary booth. The heavens have opened, and it's almost the same volume and weight of rain that we had here fall during the first round of the two events here in the Slovakia ring.
And here now is the podium for the Silver Cup. The top step of the podium, Lucas Wolff, and alongside him, Lucas Stoltz. We've also got our Pro-Am winners there, Marc Basseng and Alessandro Latif. In second place in the Pro-Am Cup, we have Aman Ibrahim and his teammate Miguel Torrell. Third in the Silver Cup, Mateusz Lisowski and Vincent Abril. As they now listen to the national anthems, but it's not pleasant conditions up there for this podium ceremony. Look at that. I'm glad I didn't finish on the podium today.
I mean, that's coming down sideways. I mean, apart from the rain, the wind is also, I think it's even picked up from the minute I was down in the pit lane in Parc Fermé. Nothing wrong with a bit of rain, doesn't do you any harm, chaps. But when you come out of a race car and you're hot and sweaty, so the ceremonies are going to be carried out hopefully as quickly as possible and let these guys get away and get changed. I mean, they may want to do an ice bath challenge as was actually taking place out on the, just literally on the pit wall. One of the teams opted to do it, 6 of the team members standing there in t-shirts and pretty much nothing else for their ice bucket challenge.
But the Silver Cup victory in their first race in the Blancpain Sprint Series for Lucas Stoltz and Lucas Wolff, taking victory for the HDP Motorsport Mercedes, their third car this weekend. Very, very impressive stuff. And they are on the top step, and they now will receive their checks, which are becoming a little bit of a challenge in these conditions. But these guys get 20,000 euros for winning the Silver Cup. Very, very a good package that has been put on, but a wonderful performance from Stoltz and Wolff here in the Slovakia race. So let's have a look back at this main race here in Slovakia. Going down towards the first corner, it was a real squeeze because our race leader was Harry Procik in that white Lamborghini, but as he turned into turn one, it all kicked off around him and he ended up in the gravel trap along with the likes of Fabian Hamprecht, along with Matthias Stump. Fabio Anidi dived through it as well. This was the view from the Zero car as they came into the first corner.
Yeah, and it looks as if Cesar Ramos sort of backed off very early, then decided to have another go, at which point the cars ahead of him, and they're all backing off, and Niki Mayamelnov also self-induced incident. We think we didn't see the beginning of it, we just saw the tail end of it, and this may well be...
This was Alex Zanardi picking up a puncture, possibly with that contact there with Marc Basseng, but whatever happened, the rear left went down. It was a great start from Miguel Torrell. He was running quite high up the order, but then started to slip back, and there he was overtaken by Lucas Wolff. And there was also big damage to Cesar Ramos's car after that first corner incident, but he still managed to do battle with his teammate, which was Mateusz Lisowski and Vincent Abril, and managed to get past and then followed through on Miguel Torrell coming up the inside into turn 8 to move past. But there in front was the BMW that ultimately would make his way very, very far up the order. Bit of a moment there for Abril as he came onto the brakes, but then out of the pits after the window into the lead of the race went Maximilian Goetz, Kaka Bueno knows it's tiny margins that make the difference here. Laurens Vanthoor had a bit of a scary moment, almost doing what Albert von Taxis did a couple of years ago, but he managed to keep it all together. And then poor Lucas Wolf got a tyre in the back, and that frustrated the HTP team. And there was the moment that the lead of the race was taken around the outside of the final corner. Into the lead of the race went Dominic Baumann. Lucas Stoltz was on a mission, and then into the lead of the race went Baumann. He closed in on Sergio Jimenez and managed to take the lead. They held on to take victory. Frustration for Brazilian BMW, but what a wonderful weekend it's been in the Slovakia ring. Next up, we are in Portimao in 2 weeks' time. From myself, Jack Nichols, and John Watson, who's been alongside me. We'll see you then.